I cannot fathom another stand-up comic complaining about being canceled on a Netflix special they're getting $50 million for. Bro, if that's getting canceled, please cancel me.
Talking about Dave
For the
Chapelle?
love of God, cancel me. Dude, why are we losing our shit over pronouns when we can't afford a fucking house in America anymore?
You were training for your wedding at the time, I think. Yeah, you were trying
Training?
to finish.
Yeah, I was gonna fight my wife.
Didn't you do like some illegal shows in Saudi Arabia?
The religious police tried to break into one of the shows to see what's up. This is not exaggerated. A fucking iota. I was pretending like I was Secret Service to stop them from going in and just screaming and panicking. Ambassador Smith, a Tinder date, and this Lebanese woman walks up, dude.
No way.
Who is this? He's engaged. And she starts, and I'm like, what the? Viral in Jordan, because I eat myself with my hands like a man.
Yeah.
And I had this whole bit about how Lebanese people wouldn't do it because they're like too gay. And by gay, I mean French. And you guys are bringing really great people over. The episodes you put out so far are fucking fire. You're all very charismatic. I think you guys have gold. This is a microcosm of the Arab solution right here. Welcome to Habibi house, bro. What's up? How's it going?
Habibi house.
Are we good, Samer? All right. Welcome to the Habibi House podcast, the #1 Arab American podcast in the universe. And we highlight Arabs and Middle Eastern creatives.
Arab aliens.
Watch out,
Arab
aliens.
American aliens.
Arabs are now threatening aliens as well. That's
Is
great.
this an immigration joke?
The FBI is like, what's going on, man?
Welcome to the Habibi House podcast. Welcome to the Habibi House podcast, the #1 Arab American podcast in the universe. We highlight Arab and Middle Eastern creatives in the entertainment industry and in Hollywood in general.
Yes, sir. And we're your hosts, Talal, Atif, and Asad. We built this platform to provide a cultural outlet in an emerging medium that is podcasting and ride the new wave of Arab representation in Hollywood that's been a long time coming, but still quite a ways to go.
Today, we have the privilege of sitting down with the true maverick in the world of comedy. He basically started stand-up comedy in the Arab world and pioneered the way for all who followed. He's been hailed as the comedy superhero, you see the cape, by AXS.com.
Where is this guy? That sounds awesome. Where?
And Rolling Stone called him
He's not here
smart, sophisticated, powerful, and hilarious. Only 3 of those are true, though.
It's all propaganda.
With a career that spans continents, languages, and cultures, this Lebanese American set out to shatter barriers with his purpose-driven comedy. His first global event was captured in his hit comedy special, No Bombing in Beirut, filmed both in Lebanon and in Los Angeles. It premiered on Showtime and solidified his legacy as the biggest name in stand-up in the region.
NEMR is back with a new hilarious show, Dropping Hot,
Yes,
which
sir.
was filmed at the end of a historic, record-breaking run in Lebanon, spanning 8 sold-out shows
baby.
with over 10,000 people in
10,000, baby.
attendance.
So please help us welcome Lebanon's king of comedy, stand-up legend, and professional OnlyFans
God
model.
damn.
No,
I mean,
Twitch.
sorry, Twitch streamer. I'm gonna sorry.
Dude, I need you guys to intro me at every show. I am pumped I gotta buy tickets to my own show now. Thank you,
I think
gentlemen.
they're all sold out. I don't think
All joking aside, thank you very much. That was very kind of you. You humbled me with your words. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Did
so
you
much.
really sell out 8 shows?
In Lebanon? Yeah. We could have added more, to be honest. I wanted to see my family, though.
But it was at the venue was what? The O?
It was big, right?
Yeah, I mean, it fits
That's
like
O?
it used to be called O by Michel Fauden. And now it's called O Beirut, but it's in Antilles. So, Lebanon.
it's not even
Everything's
in Beirut.
confused. No, it's not even.
Because I know.
It was so confusing. I'm like, it's O Beirut, but before you get to Beirut, you're going to want to take a left.
I feel like
next
the
to
first
Beirut.
time, the first time I ever saw you on TV or on the phone was when you were at the casino.
Yeah, that was my first big theater debut was at the Casino de Liban, which is an ultra prestigious venue. O and Casino are similar sized.
Okay.
O
Which
is a bit bigger. Oh, Casino
capacity was what?
Casino fits 1,015 and O fits close to 1,400. But within the capacity, if you wanted to, but we would limit O to about 1,250 to 1,300 because I'm always about giving the premium experience for the people that are there.
Yeah.
So it's like I always want even when I have $15 tickets, I want them to be my $15 tickets are what sell as VIP tickets in America. Because for me, I'm a staunch believer that if you're going to a comedy show, money shouldn't be a barrier to enjoyment.
Right. Right.
You know, so it's always like no matter where you're seated in a venue that I'm producing the show, you have kick-ass seats.
You got
That's
obscured
like a thing.
views or no obscured views?
No, not a single obscure view.
Nice.
We kill. I go to the venue in advance. If I find anywhere there's a pillar or anything, we kill those seats. And if we've sold seats, we upgrade them for free. That's always been my policy.
Nice.
Interesting.
What's up with the whole casino thing? Like, I was just in Lebanon and everything, there's a lot of casinos.
There's one casino, the Casino du Liban.
Oh.
That's like the main casino. It's historic. In the 70s and 60s when Lebanon was popping before the Civil War started, the Casino du Liban was like a huge deal, especially in the Middle East.
It's like gambling and stuff.
I mean, there's
It's like
gambling, and at the same time, Lebanon was on a whole different. Like now, everybody's trying to be Lebanon.
Yeah. Per usual.
What
In what sense?
in attracting tourism.
Oh, okay.
In the most I'm not trying to say it like they hate us because they ain't. No, I mean like they're trying to be Lebanon because the Lebanese model works.
Yeah.
And it worked in the 60s. The model that doesn't work is the Civil War, but the one that does work is the tourism and the Casino du Liban. You know that saying you always hear is like the Paris of the Middle East and whatever.
This guy thinks he's the Vegas in the Middle East.
Does that work? Do you think that analogy stands, like the Vegas of the Middle East?
Absolutely not.
Right,
Because
right.
Vegas without gambling is nothing.
That was his argument.
Whereas in Lebanon, if you're not, I mean, first of all, gambling isn't really a part of Lebanon. It's just we have the one casino,
We're just talking about it. Yeah.
you know, which is that's the one place.
Right.
And then, I mean, you're going, it's either for the food, the beach, the people, the partying, the nightlife is second to none. Whereas
Right.
in Las Vegas, the nightlife pales in comparison to Lebanon. But I mean, if you go to Europe,
Yeah.
Lebanon, you got to compare it to more epic party scenes that are going on mainly in Europe, and whether you're going to Germany or.
We were talking about it in the last episode where you could be at Sky Bar, you're partying the night away, and then like an Apache helicopter will just fly by
Yeah.
during a war, and we're just it's like we were
You'll,
saying
if there are the
Yeah.
helicopters in Beirut, we go up to the mountains in Bamena. That's
Yeah,
historically been because Lebanese people just want to live. They're not part. I mean, I've been in 9 or 10 different wars since I lived there in the 90s. We bombed multiple times. Never picked up a gun. Never participated.
Right.
The wars have nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
It's proxy war, and we just have to endure it until
the
it's
best summer I ever had in
2000,
Lebanon,
2006. That was fire. Dude.
Wasn't there a
I
war?
was 13 years old.
Fire.
And there was a war.
We were getting bombed by Israel, and they couldn't break the spirit. Nobody can break the
I
spirit.
mean, Lebanese people are very resilient. They don't even wear seatbelts.
I do, but they don't. That's true. I don't like to advocate for it, but they should. But I guess Lebanese people are like, if I'm going to die, I might as well do it on my own terms.
by not obeying
Basic traffic laws that are there for our safety.
What
Right.
traffic
What did you
laws?
say about everything being a suggestion too? I remember this coming up in your bits. You're like, yeah, there's traffic lights.
It's the line in the middle of the road. It's a suggestion.
Yeah.
As a Lebanese person, you'd think that line, the dotted line was kind of like, hey, like if you want to move forward, like this is the best path.
That's funny. When I went to Lebanon, I was driving crazy, and then I came here. I was like, man, I'm such a good driver.
Yeah, they.
How did you enjoy Lebanon when you went?
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right,
mean-
great. I'm happy to hear that, man. Thanks for
was-
coming.
I'm
Oh, I
surprised
mean,
you even drive there. I don't think my parents would even.
my
let me drive there.
13-year-old cousin was driving a Mercedes.
Scooter, yeah.
He
Yeah,
was
at
like,
that point, you got to drive.
he was
You
like,
can't-
I'm driving today. I'm like, bro, who are you?
You go to Lebanon and you see like 8-year-old kids on a scooter. It's like there's all the
You see
wires are
4
showing.
8-year-old kids on a scooter.
and they're drinking almaza at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
They have a hookah on the scooter.
Country's wild, dude. You're not even exaggerating.
Jordan is not too different. Like driving in Jordan, you
love
have to have a freaking strong mental state to
Yeah.
be able to drive in that. Like, you have
Jordanian
to
people are
fight
Lebanese
people.
adjacent in that sense. Like
Yeah.
I've always felt like when I go to Jordan, I feel like I'm at home because Jordanian people they're rough and tough.
Right.
They've been through it.
A bit rougher even maybe than some in some areas.
Bro, they eat the munsaf, dude.
Yeah.
Oh.
I went
Bare hands.
viral in Jordan because I eat munsaf with my hands like a man.
Yeah.
And
As
I
you
had
should.
this whole bit about how Lebanese people wouldn't do it because they're like too gay, and by gay I mean French, and it was always like this really because you could like a Lebanese person be like yeah, like he won't
Yeah,
put his hands
yeah.
in, but the Jordanians, dude, they're like. The language is rough. Everything is rough. The romance, unfortunately, is too rough as well. Like the way they talk to women is ridiculous. But
Yeah, it is.
But as a people, they felt the closest to Lebanese to me.
Interesting, yeah.
Not
Yeah.
that that's the benchmark to meet. It's
Right.
just like I felt at home there. Like I didn't feel like there was as much of a cultural barrier between jumping between Lebanon and Jordan for me as a Lebanese person
Interesting.
as there was between Lebanon and say Saudi Arabia.
Yes,
or
of course,
Lebanon
yeah.
and Dubai, which
Right.
I don't really know what culture to go for. Like
Right.
the Emirati culture is one culture and then Dubai is another one. So
100%.
What are the funniest countries in the Middle East?
dude, contrary to popular belief, Jordan, although there's a stereotype that Jordanians don't laugh.
Kashra.
The kashra.
Yeah.
I just think that Jordanians don't laugh unless it's funny. But whenever I've been there, I mean, maybe I'm just that good, but I doubt it.
It's probably because the country's named after a basketball player. It's pretty crazy.
and they don't even play basketball professionally. So it's a whole.
They're not bad at basketball.
Are they
actually.
really? They got a
Yeah,
team?
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
respect.
Not better than Lebanon.
Respect.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. Lebanon, they're accountant by day, basketball by night, so it's not easy. But Jordan is definitely honestly every country I've been to. Kuwait, they love to laugh. Saudi Arabia love to laugh more than anyone. Like when I go do shows there,
Yeah.
they're wonderful because they're you don't know who's American, who isn't there. Like they go to American schools, they're tuned in
Right.
to the stand-up
Yeah,
culture.
yeah.
I honestly I don't think there's a single country in the Middle East where people don't love to laugh because we're oppressed culturally in every single regard. So when somebody
I
comes
can name
in,
one country.
which is
Can we say it?
Anyways, so
Doesn't count as the Middle East.
didn't you do like some illegal shows in Saudi Arabia?
oh yeah, I was
was-
doing shows in Saudi long before it was
Legal.
legal because I have mixed crowds. You could do stand up there, but you'd have to do it either only to men or separate the crowd.
Really?
And yeah, I wasn't having none of that. So
Yeah.
in the early 2000s, we would do these underground shows where thousands would show up. Really? And
Which part of Saudi Arabia?
Jadda, Riyadh, and Khubar.
And
So we would go everywhere.
Okay. Did people know about it? Like, did you get in trouble?
We almost got in trouble once. The religious police tried to break into one of the shows to see what's up.
Mutawwa'in.
Yeah, but I went out as I was wearing a suit, and I went out and I got Apple. This is not exaggerated, a fucking iota. I got Apple headphones with the wire. This is back before there was the AirPods, and the ones that would come with the phone. So I pulled it out of I held the ear pod and put the wire in through my cuff. And I went out and only spoke in English to these people who don't speak English. And the religious police were not the cultural vanguards of Saudi Arabia. And I just kept repeating Ambassador Smith because that was the name of the American ambassador.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, is Ambassador Smith in danger? What's going on? Like, I just started saying stuff.
So you're saying
and they're
that
like, Ambassador Smith, because they don't want to have a problem with the ambassador.
Yeah.
With America.
With America.
So were you like pretending you were like a
Wow.
secret
I was
service?
pretending like I was Secret Service
Okay.
to stop them from going in and just screaming and panicking.
Wow.
And the event, because the event organizer was like, get in the car and fucking go.
Yeah.
He's like, get out now. And I'm like, what happens to the crowd? And he's like, who cares? And I'm like, no, not.
Wow.
They're going down, I'm going down. Because I'm an American citizen.
Yeah.
So they'll just get me out of the country.
Right.
But the people watching my show are not. And they're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to use them to make an example out of people. So fuck that. So I went out and I fought for my people. We won. And we basically, they were like, who's organizing? And then I just gave them the name of the competitors. And then they left. That was the
You're
closest.
like Bassem Youssef.
No, competitor organizer.
Oh, I see.
There was no Bassem Youssef at the time. I'm talking about 2006.
Wow.
5.
Wow.
I can't remember the exact date, but
So you really are the first.
but I started in 1999.
Wow.
So it's not even
You
debatable.
don't have
How
like a
heroic.
19,
That was an
damn.
awesome story, by the way.
I mean, I was getting paid, so at the same time, like I want to keep that money coming in.
That's true.
I don't want people to be like, he's such a hero. Like he did. I did these shows because I was getting paid, but when I get paid, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna do a show I don't believe in.
Yeah.
And I know what the people want. They want to laugh. They want to sit down together. There. Those shows in Saudi Arabia would go on for 4 hours. Nothing like that. And they would go on because people just didn't want to leave. Like they were in that moment together.
Yeah.
We were who we wanted to be. There was
Yeah.
nothing foul going on. There was
Right.
no sexual deviancy. There was. It was just people who wanted to laugh and not be fearsome of one another. There were no men in that crowd that were like, it's a woman. Like nobody's like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Middle East, the common theme in all countries in the Middle East is the government does not represent the people.
100%.
Not even
100%.
close. It does. I don't care which country you're from.
I
The
actually have
Lebanese government is
Lebanese government is a bunch of disgusting, terroristic militia scum. And I won't speak about other governments. I'll speak about mine because I'm Lebanese.
Yeah.
But I will just say that the other governments don't represent the people.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to do you think overthrow the government or something?
Before
No,
we
they're
get too
overthrowing
political.
themselves. We're lucky that our government in Lebanon, at least,
Like implodes.
is overthrowing itself because they have a complete lack of intelligence. So it's a matter of time. And the new generation of Lebanese people, what's wonderful about them is despite everything the country went through in the revolution, they stayed peaceful. So that shows such an evolution because our past generations, you know, you take one government, sack it by force, put in another, and it's just a violent loop that continues. So we tried. We told them what to do.
Yeah.
We gave them advice. We went to the streets. We presented peaceful solutions. They didn't listen. They made their own bed, let them sleep in it. Their end will be very violent.
It's crazy. I don't think
for them.
A lot of corruption and the whole inflation thing was insane.
I don't think I am I don't really know the Lebanon or the Lebanese history too well, but from what I've known, you hear Bashir Gemayel was this good guy and all that stuff. But then you
depends
grow
who
up.
you ask.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then for example,
drive through different neighborhoods.
You don't learn about this stuff in history books or.
I could give you 5 history books from Lebanon in Lebanon with different takes.
Exactly. So I see it on TikTok, for example, the true facts where a guy who you thought, I guess through propaganda was a good guy was orchestrated massacres, like the phalangist groups.
There is
Lebanon.
not a single political party or politician in Lebanon, not one that isn't going to hell. If there is a God, there isn't one. And the reason that I say that with all confidence is you couldn't survive the Civil War without being that person.
You had to be.
You can't assimilate power in a civil war. By definition, a civil war means the division of the people. To assimilate power, you need the unity of the people or force. There is no unity of the people during civil war. So by definition, nobody who came up during the Civil War did so clean. And anybody who says my guy is clean is lying to themselves or misled. War is hell, period. What we presented during the revolution, and when I say we, I'm not talking about just the youth, from all the people. And I'm borderline no longer youth. So, but from all the people from different facets were all great solutions that involved stepping to the side, sharing power with learned ones. You know, what's ironic about the Middle East is we pride ourselves in our education, right? My son's a doctor. My daughter's a lawyer. She's a engineer. He's a this. She's a that. But once they get that education, we still don't trust them. So they kind of because it's about power. Working in America, you see the difference. Like a company here will be formed. You go into the company, you do well. The CEO says, put that guy in my place.
Yeah.
I'm going to go vacation on the beach. Let them do everything. I'm making money from that guy or girl. In the Middle East,
they hang on.
They hang on because it's not about whether or not you're successful. It's whether or not you have the title, the position. So had the idiocy of our politicians, which is what's wonderful and why I know it's going down, is had they stepped to the side, they could have maintained power, made money, continued to steal.
Wow.
But now there's nothing left.
Right.
So they were too obsessed with their ego. Got in well, they don't have the education rather as well to know how to do
but
it.
even
So
in
it's
America,
a slow turnover of minds and
but even in America, we have old ass politicians too.
But the old ass politicians in America, there's many, right? They don't have if Mitch McConnell today or Dianne Feinstein today goes out and says, go to the streets, there's not going to be a plethora of Americans that are already armed that are going to go down to the streets. And that's not a reference to one political party in Lebanon, because some people might hear me and say that's Hezbollah. That's Hezbollah, that's the Uwait, everybody has arms in Lebanon. So if Samir Jaja or Hassan Nasrallah or any of these politicians, they have people who go to the streets. America isn't like that. America, you've got a bunch of old people because honestly, politics is corrupt.
Yeah.
It's a corrupt game. Right? The new wave of young politicians coming out on both sides of the aisle in America are very promising. But the old ones are from the old times. They went through corruption. So they're, they need to go.
And that was
we're not even close. You can't compare. But the corruption in America is expensive. I've always said that. In Lebanon, there's corruption in the Middle East at every level. In America, can you buy a congressman? Of course. But it's going to cost you millions. Whereas in Lebanon, it's, it's a couple of grand and you're set.
Yeah, I give him
but you can still
old Toyota and you got him.
There's a saying in Arabic, "Tishtari al-adib bis-sadri knefi." You buy the judge with a knefi.
Oh, I love knefi.
It's just, bro. I'm ready to be bought.
Knefi Queens.
I just think
some of the best
in America, it's way more under low key. You know what you're gonna get in Lebanon. In America, it's way more you just don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, because it's out of our we don't. I see it because as a person who mixes with circles of powerful people, I'm not powerful, but who's been in the nightlife. I get hired for their events. You see it.
Yeah.
I know it. I know what I'm capable. I know what money can do in this country.
Right.
But I'm not going to have the amount of money to do that in this country. You know what I'm saying?
The crazy thing is it's still doable. Like they're still
Of
for
course it's
sale.
doable.
It's just the price is higher.
Everybody's for sale worldwide. This is the human nature.
Yeah.
And
This
it's a
episode
shame.
is sponsored by hummus. What is it called?
We'll get to that.
Oh, you have sponsors? Plug them.
I mean,
Because we got to get that money to be able to buy the politicians. So plug
yeah.
No, but it was crazy to see that even we don't have to dwell on this too long, but the insurrection was a time where a politician in America called out for people and they showed up and they stormed the most holy political
obviously
building.
they're the people he called out. And once again, if people wonder if I'm Democrat or Republican, I'll make it very clear right now. I was bombed by both. Right? We're Arab.
Yeah.
So I find it hilarious to see Iraqis voting Republican. I find it hysterical to see Lebanese people voting Democrat. Either way.
Yeah.
And Lebanese people, a lot of Arabs vote Republican.
It's true.
And it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I agree.
Neither of them.
Well, we
care.
have conservative values. I feel like that align with those.
Values is an interesting
also
word.
very
Oxymoron.
Yeah.
100%. Values are very
Conservative values.
But I believe that the Democrat, to make my politics clear, I believe the Democrat Party is way too far right. So that's where I am. So I'm not on any side of the spectrum. So with that established, the insurrection was a joke.
Yeah.
Both from an Arab perspective of watching people trying to insurrect the government, you're like,
That's not how you do it, my friend.
I'm like, dude, have you ever and here's
Americans should know how to do that.
bro, what's funny is that they're so racist. This is the beauty of racism. They didn't think to ask Arabs. They're so racist that they don't know that Arabs could be their biggest allies. Turn around, bro. Ask an Arab American how to overthrow a government. The Proud Boys and all these fucking jokes of insurrectionists. Get some Arabs on your side. They would have helped out. But and they would have shown you how to do it. The insurrection was flawed and it was failed, and it doesn't work in America because what happens in countries where there are these things is the army splinters.
Yeah.
And the army in America doesn't splinter the way it does in Lebanon, the way it does, because in America, despite the right-wing extremism that is here, the left wing is not religiously co-opted. In Lebanon and other countries that had civil war, both sides were religiously co-opted. In Lebanon, you got the let's call it right wing, let's say you have Muslim versus Christian, but you also got Christian versus Christian,
Right.
Muslim versus Muslim.
Right.
And everybody's religiously extreme.
Yeah.
In America, one side is religiously extreme, which is why a politician going up and calling for people to come down works,
Yeah.
because you have extremism.
Right.
And the other side isn't.
What about all the Satan worshipers on that side?
Unfortunately, they don't exist. It would be good if they did, because then we could have some balance. But if you look into the Church of Satan in America, it's a hilarious organization that is basically uses the name, but they just don't believe in any of this.
They're really
And
like the Girl Scout.
Right.
Girl
they're
Scouts.
like, okay, I guess if you want to, any time that a far right organization in America gets a law passed, they're there to kind of be like, cool. Then we'll put up a statue of the devil as well, since we can put that in schools now. And then you see them backtrack. So it's good. In America, there's a very good way.
Checks and balances.
Checks and balances for people to fight back using laws and out positioning. We're lucky that Republicans in America are stupid. Their education rate. This isn't like an opinion. They rank lower in education. Republican states in America consistently rank higher in infant mortality, lower in GDP, lower in education, higher in mass shootings, higher in crime, consistently. And anyone who wants to debate that before you do that, or write in the comment section, Google it. Don't come to me and Bing it if you believe Google is biased. But it always makes me laugh when I hear Texas people say, "Don't California my Texas," whereas California literally bankrolls Texas, who operates at a deficit GDP-wise. And a lot of people go to Texas because they say it's cheaper. The hilarious part is, if you have any modicum of understanding in finance, you have more disposable income in California with the same job than you do in Texas. You pay more taxes in Texas for the same income that you would, for the same job that you would in California. Employee rights in California, everything is there. What I'm just trying to say is that I am not politically motivated. I like to look at the facts.
Yeah.
Of course.
I'm going to have kids one day.
And
I'm like, where is the best place to educate my kids in America? It's not a Republican state.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, it's in the name, right? It's called Texas.
Taxes.
That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
I just
That
should have come a
wasn't
bit
bad.
early.
We're gonna keep that one in.
That
This
made me
time.
stop for a second. That made me stop. But yeah, all I'm saying is that if I'm looking for the best, if you're out there and you're looking for the best place to put your money or to invest, you're going to look for, at a business point of view, you're going to look for a certain market. And for me, I want to invest the future of my family and everything. I'm not going to a Republican state. Yeah. I'm not going to Florida. I'm not going to Texas. I'm not going to any of these places because my property value isn't going to be guaranteed because the country is run by a bunch of, the states are run by a bunch of clan. I'll stay in a place like California, which is the 5th largest economy in the world. Yeah. The state of California has a larger economy than Canada, Mexico, India, Germany. Jeez. So I would rather be here, right? Instead of be elsewhere because it gives my kids the best chance. They're surrounded by successful people.
And I found it funny because like in Texas and Florida, they're pretty much half and half. It's very close calls in the races too. And that's bad for them because a lot of those people that are moving are still going to vote blue and they're going to possibly tip in the next election.
We saw that in Austin. Yeah. So Austin's become very, very progressive in Texas. And Houston is becoming more and more progressive.
Yeah. But what about there's no income tax or property?
There's no income tax. States like Florida and in Texas, you don't have state income tax.
So that means if you make $100,000, you get to keep that whole $100,000?
No. You have sales tax.
State.
You don't pay state tax. You have sales tax and you have much higher property tax. So one of the states with the lowest tax, I'm not sure if it's the state with the lowest tax, it might be, is California, with I believe is 0.7% property tax annually.
It's kind of surprising.
Yeah, well, because the houses are more. So that's why, like, if you take political bias out of it and emotion out of it, and you start to look at things objectively, what surprises me about Republicans is they continuously vote against their own interests, both financially and progressively. What surprises me about Democrats is they continue to vote for people who don't do jack shit. So Democrats will vote for people and those people go and they don't do enough, right? But I would much rather as an employee exist in California where if I unionize it can happen as opposed to existing in a place like Texas.
Look, what about the strikes?
Yeah, what do you think of that?
I love the strikes, bro. The companies in America are fucking ripping the people off.
Yeah.
And it's a worldwide thing. They're taking everything. You can't buy houses in America because companies are buying, 60% of home ownership right now is in corporations in America. BlackRock and Vanguard buying out of here. You have fucking...
come on, guys.
Apartments.com.
Why you guys got to spill the beans?
I mean...
I'm BlackRock affiliated.
I knew it, man. I could tell. So,
isn't that the cabinet?
Bro, we're headed towards a subscription economy.
Yeah.
Basically 10, 15 years from now, you don't own anything. You're just going to subscribe to live, rent. You're going to subscribe to exist with your electricity, your phone, your music. It's all subscription services. And they're buying up the property. And during COVID, everybody was arguing like a fucking idiot over the dumbest conspiracy theories in the world. So weak. And while we were doing that, companies were taking loans from the government, buying back their stocks, buying property, and then got all their loans forgiven. All of their loans fucking forgiven, and Americans still have to pay student debt. Get the fuck out of town. And they now own the property that you pay astronomical rent for. Jeez. So that's the corruption that we're dealing with in America. And in Lebanon, we're dealing with a bunch of idiots. So take your choice.
You're obviously very outspoken, and I want to mention that in a bit. But let's. I want to backtrack and basically, like, how did this even come to
How'd you guys meet?
Yeah, because like
I met him at Costco.
I'm still like
we worked out at Gold's Gym. I know if you look at me, you can't believe that, but if you look at him, you can. Yeah. And the mecca of bodybuilding.
Right. But I want to tell you from like my perspective. Yeah. Basically. So I was in line, about to order the greasiest pizza on the planet.
Dude, the Costco pizza slaps.
Yeah, I know.
It's a big slice.
Finest cuisine, finest
so
restaurant,
good.
and all of
so
that.
good.
Yeah. So I overhear Arabic being spoken, and I can tell that it's Lebanese. So I'm like, you know how we are when we hear our own kind in the back. So basically,
from a mile away,
you can hear it.
Especially with my quiet, timid voice.
Yeah. So I turn around and I see this guy, big guy, like wearing a ball cap. He's got like gray in his beard. I was like, who is this guy? And I see, I guess your soon-to-be wife,
Vanessa,
right? And long story short, I was like, "Shu ismak?" And you're like, "NEMR." And I'm like, at that moment, it clicked because I didn't realize, you see you on TV.
A lot of people, that happens with a lot of people.
Because you were kind of hidden and stuff. And obviously you're.
I was on my Clark Kent.
Yeah.
I had a hat on. Nobody could see me.
Right.
And you were like,
No one could tell.
No one could tell.
Also, like, you know, you said you're like 6'5", right? So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that you were that much bigger in person.
An actual NEMR.
Yeah.
Actual limit.
So then I go, you know, NEMR. I'm like, Isme Asad, basically. And you were like, is this a bit?
Yeah. Because if you guys listening don't know, Nimid means tiger. Asad means lion.
Yeah.
So it was like, hell yeah.
Welcome to the jungle.
Welcome to the jungle, baby.
Yeah.
Here we go.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, NEMR and
That's
Asad,
funny.
basically. So yeah, and then you invited me to sit down and eat those fine
We
dining
broke bread
cuisines,
together.
yeah.
Yep. Costco.
Costco
Broke
bread.
Food
chicken
court.
bakes, chicken bakes together.
Yeah.
And we had a great combo. And then, you know, we mentioned where we worked out, and it just so happened again, crazy coincidence, we worked out at Gold's Venice.
Yeah.
And, you know, we just, you know, then I saw you like more and more, basically. And
You went to a show.
yeah, so
In Florida,
I'm
right?
getting to that. Yeah. So, you were training for your wedding at the time, I think. Yeah, you were trying to
Training?
finish.
Yeah, I was gonna fight my wife. You know? I was like,
Wait, is this not
she
what we're
must
supposed
know who is the man.
You training for the.
I was
wedding.
training to fit
Special
into
night.
a tuxedo and not look like a fat ass. That's what I was doing. Yeah.
But then you had a series of like an unfortunate event. Didn't you have like a?
Fuck it. I had a show in Vegas, and I had 6 shows in Vegas, and I got there. I had like a massive stomach ache, but I was like, whatever. I'm a man, you know. Did the first night of shows, and my wife was like, "Are you okay? You look like you're gonna die." I'm like, "I'm a man. Yes, must have been something I hate." You know. And the next day, I did the shows. On the third day, I was like, "I'm a bitch. I'm dying." So we go to the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And I had my appendix was about to burst.
Appendicitis. I
Yeah.
fucking knew it.
Bro, and the
had
doctor
that.
was like, I'm like, can I still do my shows tonight? He's like, we're putting you in surgery right now. He's like, it's gonna burst. And apparently you can die from the shot. I didn't know
Oh, yeah.
if it bursts.
My shit burst.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Did you die?
Yeah. And I'm back.
Perfect timing.
Did you
Did
die?
you die?
It felt like it. It's the worst
So
pain
yeah, it
I've
sucked,
ever
man. It
experienced.
sucked. So we did the surgery and then it derailed my workout and everything. Because it had to be like a larger incision.
Oh, yeah.
And all that. But I got into just enough shape to fit into the tux.
No, I
like-
saw you just posted your anniversary video.
Yeah.
You know, congratulations.
Thank you,
on
man.
that.
1 year, me and my and the love of my life, dude. My
Yeah.
wife, incredible woman.
How
That
did
was
you? How
an
did?
amazing post, by the way. It was,
Yeah.
the caption was like so inspirational to find, you know.
Dude, because like everywhere I go, I'd be telling people like I'm gonna get married. They're like, "Hey, la shoot." Everybody's so negative and toxic.
Yeah.
But man, it's fucking great, dude. Like if you marry the right person.
Yeah. How did
That
you know
was
she
one
was?
thing you
How did?
said.
How did you know she was the one?
I dated this woman 6 months before the revolution in Lebanon happened, the pandemic, and the explosion in Beirut. You go through those.
Wow.
You go through and we were at long distance when the pandemic started. You go through all of that, and she's still by your side. Yeah.
Yeah.
You better lock her
Do
down.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
That's amazing for your second wife.
yeah, that is
Wait,
100%.
Second wife.
Yeah, I had before it wasn't wife. I was engaged before my first wife. What happened is I broke up with my fiance. So I went on tour and I was engaged and I talk about my fiance. She was Muslim, I was Christian. So it was a part of a bit where, you know, like people would talk about like it's never going to work out because you're Muslim and Christian. And then my bit was like, no, it's just because she was a slut. And and then I would have to say like it's, you know.
Hey, don't slut shame.
Oh no, I don't. You can't slut shame. That's also an oxymoron. I love sluts, but it's different. It's different when the slut is somebody you're marrying. You understand? Like at the point, like let me phrase it this way: when you have an agreement with someone that you're going to be faithful to each other, and then they're not faithful to you, it changes the dynamic. Of
course.
So I would make a bit out of it, right? But before that, when I broke up with her, I just broke up with her, and then I got back to dating, and I want to date a Tinder date here in California. And I'm with this girl. She's American. And first date, I don't even remember her name at this point. It was like we were getting to know each other. I'm sitting down, and this Lebanese woman walks up, dude.
No way.
Who is this? He's engaged. And she starts, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like, no, I'm not. And I'm like, I broke it up. And the Lebanese woman's like, you didn't say anything? Like, how are we supposed to know? Obviously, this American woman was like, absolutely not. Like, this guy is full of shit.
Yeah.
She left.
I gotta go.
And I'm looking at this Lebanese woman like, how do you come up in like somebody's business? But then I was like, maybe I'm famous enough now that I need to clarify.
Announce things.
Yeah.
I never thought of it.
Yeah.
So I go on Instagram and I make a post where it said I'm single. It was like it was just like I wrote on note on my phone.
You
I'm
changed
single.
your status on Instagram.
Yeah, and then I wrote down in the caption, I'm like I didn't know.
I totally thought that was how you met Vanessa.
I thought that was she was a Lebanese woman that came up.
No.
You are married?
No. So I go and I put in the caption like I'm single,
That's so funny.
Ready to mingle.
like yesterday I got accosted by this woman. Like, please, if I'm in public, leave me alone. Like I'm dating. Like I'm a human being. I want to find love.
Yeah.
Like I still am a family man. I'm not jaded by the experience. And I'm looking for someone, and I just put it out there. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But within 5 minutes of that post, I get a call from a Lebanese friend of mine here called Akram Abu Khalid. Shout out to him. And he goes, dude, you broke up with your fiance? And I go, yeah. And he goes, oh man, I fucking hated her. I was like, really?
You see how they
He's
really
like,
feel.
yeah. He's like, dude, there was this girl that I've always wanted to introduce you to. You guys would hit it off.
Yeah.
But this isn't a rebound girl. I'm like, dude, I've been broken up with this girl, like with my ex for a while. Like
I just posted the picture, but
yeah,
I've been
I had
Yeah.
to because I'm getting attacked. And he goes, okay, her name's Vanessa. This is her number. And that was it, man. And I started talking to her, went to Lebanon, I met her, and we started dating. And it was amazing. And then the shit went down. And during the entire shit went down phase of years where financially I was at zero, because in the COVID, it's done. Like I was out.
The COVID.
You can't perform.
I started Twitch streaming to kind of save my career to make some kind of income.
Is that when the podcast kicked in too?
The podcast was kicking in. I was experimenting to see how I could make a living without being able to put people in a room.
Yeah.
And this girl, dude, never wavered. Like money didn't matter, fame didn't matter. Her account is private. Like she doesn't, like everything was. She was always by my side. And I've always said like you got to live with someone before you marry them to argue with them and everything. And this woman, we lived through things that were absolutely in a lifetime.
Yeah.
One of them would be insane. We had all three compounded, and she almost died in the explosion. She was very close to the explosion. And me being here, waking up in the morning, and her being there in the midst of that, I can't explain to you the trauma of having. And I'm not here to say I was traumatized. The people there were traumatized, but there's also another level of trauma where you're most precious person in the world and you can't do anything.
Yeah.
Like she's on the phone driving around dead bodies, and I'm sitting like trying to.
Wow.
I have security footage from where she worked. She used to be the lead designer for Eli Saab, the fashion designer, Lebanese guy, and she was in his the windows all exploded. People next to her, like arms gashed open, everything. But dude, God bless. Like she was safe. But to see that, to go through that with somebody, and instead of arguing or getting stressed out, and her being like, I don't know, losing, panicking, she was like,
cool head.
dude, I will never, like, she's a hero to me because I was like, she's talking to me on the phone, calm, collected. She voice notes me immediately, like, I don't want to wake you up. There was an explosion. We don't know what's going on. And I'm like, I'm already on LBC and I'm trying to call her.
Wow.
We couldn't get through. Finally, we get through. She drives home. She stays, level-headed. She gets PTSD from the thing. Like afterwards, loud noises, explosions don't help, right?
Yeah.
And you could tell, but she was like a warrior, dude.
Yeah.
Like she's like, everybody's been through this. We're going to get through this. When you go through all of that, she had a business over there. All the money that she had in her bank accounts stolen, right? All my money that I had over there gone. Jeez. All the property that we own valueless. You go through that and you're still laughing, you're still smiling, and the love is even stronger.
Yeah.
So when you ask me like, how do I know she's the one? I already knew. And then all of that happened and I was like, get it. Like, it's not about locking it down. It's like, for the love of God, do not fuck this up.
Yeah.
And I thank my previous relationships for teaching me how to understand the value of a woman. I've been cheated on multiple times. It never went into a relationship because it was always like, well, that's because I chose wrong.
Right.
I did the wrong things.
Right.
A lot of people don't take accountability. So I make jokes out of like, oh, my ex was a slut or whatever. These are jokes to entertain people. In the reality, my perspective is like, you got to know how to choose the person that's compatible with you for what you want and move forward. And you have to know how to celebrate and respect that.
Right.
So I try every day to celebrate, respect my wife because she does that every day.
Yeah.
So she grew up in Lebanon?
She grew up in Lebanon, but also moved here shortly after she started university there. She moved to Miami. She spent a year here with her family in DC, the rest of her life in Lebanon, then moved out to Miami to study design and worked here for years in Atlanta and Miami. She worked with Berkshire Hathaway. I'm so proud of her. She has like an insane resume work-wise, but her ambition. She went back to Lebanon, worked for designers there, opened up her own company, worked with Elisab, dropped that to move here, to marry me and to live with me. And I'm a clown adjacent. I'm a comedian.
Come on.
No, I mean, like, realistically, nothing that I put out there is necessary.
I would disagree with that.
No, I mean, it's necessary. It helps.
Comedy is necessary.
Comedy is necessary as a relief.
Yeah.
But if you have to choose between my show and food, you're going for food.
I mean,
do you get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So, I mean, like, she's taking a chance on me. I'm not in a corporate structure. I'm not, nothing about me is guaranteed.
I see what you're saying.
So you get a woman like, that's a ride or die.
Yeah.
That is a ride or die women.
Yeah.
And dude, they don't build them like that anymore because the men aren't built like that. A lot of men today don't deserve a ride or die woman.
Facts.
But when you find one, you better believe you better be up to the challenge, man. Women are heroes to me, so
now,
and she's mine.
At this point, like, it sounds like obviously a lot of certainty for the young men out there dating and trying to find their one. Was there at any point any doubt that you experienced, and how did you handle that? Or was it purely like, I know 100% for A to Z the whole time?
No, I had doubt because I traveled a lot, and I was like, it's becoming problematic for me to be able to marry or date somebody from Lebanon because I'm long distance all the time. I can't get to know this person.
Right.
And that was a problem for me, why a lot of the women that I would date would end, the relationship would end because you're visiting, it's happiness, right? You're flying in, you're going out, you're partying for a couple of weeks, you're not arguing.
Right.
And then long distance, time zones, you have like a few phone calls.
Tough.
You're not going to argue. You don't really get to know each other.
Yeah.
So that was the doubt, was I don't think I'm going to be able to marry somebody from my country. I might be able to marry a Lebanese person. Not that was important. I would date anybody. I don't mind literally any race, any background, right? Black, white, Asian. I wanted to, because the human being is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And like, even when you wanted to, some more unfortunate events happened, right? So when you came back, didn't she get stuck in Lebanon when you got married, or what was the time?
There was the lawyer here screwed us over, and the paperwork, she messed it up, and we were facing a lot of hurdles. There were always hurdles to everything we were doing. Things would pop up, like country level events, and it was always like the phone call would always be like, or the meet, like if we were in the same country or we were talking, it was always like, it wasn't like, I hate this sucks, from my end or her end. It was like, here's the problem, how do we solve it? Let's do it, we do it.
Yeah.
And I think my advice to everybody out there is, if you are a family-oriented person and that's important to you, become the man deserving of having a family, gay or straight. And if you're not a family-oriented person, don't put somebody through that. Don't get a woman to satisfy your parents, have kids, and then cheat.
Yeah.
If you're a family-oriented person, be that man.
Yeah.
And if not, have fun, man. Tinder's out there. Everything's out there. Date, enjoy, or find a girl that doesn't want kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Do not, for the love of God, think kids are going to solve your problem. Don't have kids to add spice to the relationship. Be an adult
or even marriage for that
break
matter, right?
Exactly. Don't do it. But if you're after the miracle of marriage, and it's a miracle, dude, because there's somebody in my house. I read this comment online. Somebody was like, people said marriage sucks, but it's great. There's somebody in my house and they love me. Yeah. Dude, it's incredible. And I live a life of uncertainty. You want
Must
that
be nice.
rock. It is, man. You'll find it.
Traditionally, like,
I'm 39 now, just to clarify. I found my love at like 35, 36. Okay. So just don't put a time limit on it. Right. Don't rush.
Yeah.
And you were lucky enough where, you had it happen at 35, but a lot of people get stuck in relationships and marriage really early, especially like pressures from society, especially in Arab culture.
Yes,
parents.
It's like, why aren't you married? What are your thoughts on?
Get married, go.
What are your thoughts about that? Like, just marriage and Arab culture and
in general, Arab culture hasn't resulted in very many good things.
Whoa.
For us.
Explain.
I don't see a lot of peace in the Middle East.
Do you know where you are?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't see a lot of peace in the Middle East. I don't see a lot of economic success for Arabs. That doesn't have to do with Europeans. So a lot of Lebanese people have to leave the country to make a living. A lot of Saudi Arabians have to bring in foreign investment and foreign views.
Yeah.
A lot of Emiratis, the same, Kuwaitis, etc. The oil brings the money,
right?
And it brings the foreigners,
right?
So in that respect, our culture hasn't produced viable opportunities for a future-looking Arab society. the good elements of our culture that have produced, that have allowed us to make those connections with Western world, Asian world, et cetera, have been our hospitality.
Right.
When we respect our religion,
Right.
not use our religion, there's a huge difference
Yeah.
between a Muslim and a Christian who respect their religion, or a Jew, or a Muslim and a Christian and a Jew who use their religion.
Right.
Israel uses their religion, the Zionists, to ruin Palestinians on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Muslims, extremists like ISIS, use their religion to ruin the cultures of it. Christians, like the Phalangist forces in Lebanon, and use their religion.
Right.
They put a picture of St. Mary on a machine gun.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Wow.
The leap there is fantastic. Very Republican. Very Republican. That's something you would see in Texas.
Yeah.
Very incorrect. If you even flip through the cliff notes of the book.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm a Christian, so that's why I will not speak on my Muslim brothers and sisters or Jewish brothers and sisters, but I will go a bit deeper on the Christian side because I know it for a fact.
Yeah.
But we can all agree that if you're religious, especially in a religion like Islam or Christianity, you're going to be peaceful. Like, that's the whole
have
point.
to be,
It's in the name.
Right.
And I've studied the Quran, and that is a beautiful book.
Yeah.
You're saying you do war, you find a barren land. If you have to fight where there are trees, every tree you must plant X amount of trees in their place.
Avoid women, avoid children.
Avoid women, avoid children. It's
Don't pillage.
don't rape, but is ISIS following that?
Hell no. Hell no. Also, don't aggress. Don't commit.
Don't
aggression.
aggress.
I don't even consider them to be.
Muslim.
They're not Muslim.
Of course they're not.
They are not Muslim. The Phalangist forces in Lebanon are not Muslim, are not Christian. Sorry.
And the Zionists are not religious.
No, they're not. So what a lot of people mistaken for anti-Semitism, which is hilarious in America because we're Semites.
Right.
You can't say an Arab is an anti-Semite because then you're basically excluding Israelis from the Arab identity.
Right.
Because we're all Semitic. If you're saying that Jews and Israelis come from Israel and that if that's your claim,
Right.
then they're Semites, we're Semites. That's the bottom line, right? There is a huge difference between being anti-Zionist
100%.
and anti-Jewish.
100%.
Anti-Jewish, not acceptable. And I love to see the fact that Americans in the commercial sense, the general population in America is now waking up to the detriment of Zionism and the extremism and racism of Zionism because they're seeing the parallels between it and the far right extremism in America.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
far left extremism.
Yeah. You know, I have a friend that told me, he lives out here. He grew up in LA, and he's a Persian Jew.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most educated guys I know. Like, he sounds like a Ben Shapiro if he was more...
If he wasn't such
Likeable?
If he wasn't such a grifter.
Robot.
Right. And he's a music producer. Like, we work together. Anyway, he told me that he went to school with the granddaughter of the lady that started the organization that began this PR campaign to conflate anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism. They wanted to, there was an intentional,
Brilliant. Of
organized
course.
effort
Oh, of course.
to make it to where you cannot criticize the political state of Israel
course.
without it being called
Anti-Semitism.
And he's like, I knew the daughter when they started this. It was a whole campaign. So.
It was incredible, and kudos to them because I know for a fact that anybody would do the same if they were in a similar position. If you're Zionist and your goal and your objective is to maintain a power grip and the money coming in from America, that's the strategy to go. What I fault Arabs with is that instead of facing that and saying, okay, we can easily counter that by using information, knowledge, and tactics. We spent the last 50 years fighting each other.
We start fucking beating each other.
Either fighting each other or exploiting Palestinians. You can't tell me that the Palestinians have not been exploited more by the Middle East, by Arab countries, than by Israel.
How so? How so?
Yeah, because
Jordan annexed, Egypt annexed. The fact that all of us basically even the military planning that went into the 7-day war was a fucking joke. They didn't go in to liberate Palestine. They went in to get land. And then the Arab League.
So the Arabs threw them under the bus, basically.
Bro, the Arabs throw each other under the bus every single day. Give me the Arab goal, please. Any goal. I'll take any goal.
Smell like Dior Sauvage.
There's nothing. Saudi Arabia has a goal. Egypt has a goal. Lebanon has a goal.
Yeah.
Everybody has a goal. None of them. And if you go to a Saudi Arabian goal, I don't know.
Even that is light.
It's not a goal.
Yeah,
I mean, there is no, it depends on who's leading at the time and what he thinks the goal is. And you want to tell a Saudi Arabian from 20 years ago that what Mohammed bin Salman is doing today is what was going to happen. They say, no, you're full. There's no way.
Yeah.
He's like, what? A line all the way down the country.
It's not going to happen. So the bottom line is the main difference is that we're purposeless. And when you asked me earlier about Arab culture, that's the main problem we have. We focus on things that don't matter. You got to get married young. How about you got to have a purpose in life? Why don't our parents put pressure on that? So instead of saying, how can you marry someone and you both don't have a purpose? What are you marrying for? What's the conversation you're having with your significant other where you're saying, I want to do this one day. And they say, I want to do that one day. And then you know if you're compatible or not. And then if you are, you say, okay, how can we help each other grow?
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're a guy who's saying like, I want to be a doctor. Okay, and then what? I'll see when I get there. How are you getting married?
Yeah.
You know, or I want to be a DJ. I want to be whatever. Like, okay, but what's the goal? You want to be a DJ, but do you want to produce your own music? Do you want to be a guy who does weddings? All of them are viable.
Right.
All of them are viable.
Yeah.
You know, what are you do? What is your exact goal? We don't have that in our culture.
Yeah.
And Zionists do.
It's very like performative. I think marriages and that all in our culture.
We worry about what other people think.
Because
Yeah.
culturally,
You want it to be the most
we come from an
expensive
educationally poor culture.
And that's why I think when like my parents came to this country, they're like, okay, we're trying to get this American dream. We're going to do whatever job we need to get our kids to have this education, to go and get a job that's stable, be a doctor, lawyer, engineer.
Stable's the key.
You know?
Because
And,
they'd
like,
escape the Middle East because of a lack of stability.
Exactly.
So the credit to them, they'd make that sacrifice.
Yeah.
But they still didn't know why they were made. They're like, we want them to be able to be stable.
always the
For
safe.
what though?
Right.
For what?
It's
not
just
have to
like
deal
when
with
you're in survival mode, it becomes hard to plan more than one step ahead.
And that was the intelligence of how the Middle East has been divided. We've been constantly
Right.
in survival mode. So we haven't been, but that's our fault.
Why don't we
But
stick
that-
together?
But is it our fault?
It is our fault,
because
100%.
well, the leaders' fault that let us be divided. that
At the
we're
same time, it's the
greedy
people's fault.
Also,
It is the people's fault. I'll take my country. Once again, I don't like to speak about other countries
I
because
mean, we're all Arabs.
we're all Arabs. But I mean, I feel like as a Lebanese man, talk about yourself and let the others talk about themselves.
Yeah.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying? I don't live in these countries like I have in Lebanon.
Yeah.
But in Lebanon, I can say I'm I'm authority enough to be able to have an opinion and not be a jackass. The biggest attack that ever happened in Lebanon was the explosion that happened in 2020 on August 4. That was a Lebanese-made explosion. And it was a Lebanese-made explosion because for 6 years, we put tons of ammonium nitrate, which should not be in a humid environment, in our port. So some people come up and say, oh, Israel bombed it and blew it up. Here's the truth. Absolutely not. Negligence. There was a fire that broke out for hours, and then the explosion happened. But even if you wanted to say that for the 6 years that were there when the Taliban, ISIS, and Israel all had wars going on with us in that country, you got to thank them.
For not
Because
blowing
it was public knowledge that they could have just, one ISIS guy could have walked into the port and decimated the country. But even they thought that that was too far. Our own government left it there. End of story. So the bottom line is, why do I say Arabs have ruined the Middle East? And that's why I say the Arab culture is something we need to assess and change and reassess. Is we need to, moving forward, we need to build our culture based on like-minded people working towards a common goal. It's not about setting aside your differences. It's about finding a common goal. Once you find a common goal, you don't need to set aside differences.
Differences are
There is no, I'm a Christian and a Muslim. I don't have any cultural problem or difference between the two.
Of course.
A Muslim thinks Jesus isn't the son of God. I don't care. We're all good. It's fine.
Right.
My question is, does the Muslim guy want to shoot me in the face? No. Do they want to raise a family? Yes. Do they want to be happy? Yes. So do I. Yeah. So I take a look around. I see a bunch of Arab people who are super talented, super smart, super intelligent, servicing other people.
Yeah.
Why? Service each other. Let's work together.
It's our time now.
It's our time. And I know that the new generation is like that. And I'm so excited.
I think what you said is huge about like the turnover of the minds and the power, where like the old generation hangs on maybe too strongly to their positions, to their wealth.
Because they're not well educated. Right. So if you take a look at large family units, right? Back in the day when you'd have, Irish Catholics here in America would have families of 10, 15 kids, right? Back in the day, especially in villages in like Lebanon and all over the Middle East, you don't have wealth. Right? You couldn't get a Lamborghini and drive it around. You couldn't buy a house in Solidaire and show it off. Your wealth was the size of your family. Yeah. That's why there's that pressure to get married. That's why there's that pressure to get kids early, because that has been historically linked with status. Right. But today, you have to ask yourselves, you young men here and young women and everything in between and beyond, you got to ask yourself, what is my worth and what am I working towards? And if your worth is in making a big family, respect, then you got to build your personality around that.
Right.
If your worth is in opening a company and doing this and having employees or gaining the independence for your people of Palestine or doing this or that, you got to gear your world towards that.
Yeah.
So we got to start becoming an objective-driven culture.
I like it.
And so again, to kind of tie this all back in, so essentially you are not for getting married early. You don't like.
I'm not for getting married ever.
The pressure, yeah.
Unless it's
find
with
the
the right
right one.
person, because then you bring kids into the equation, and then you fuck up the kids. Great,
Right.
fantastic.
Yeah. You gotta
Also,
heal first. and
You
just
gotta be able. First, my first advice: can you hang out with yourself? If you can hang out with yourself, can you go watch a movie by yourself? Can you go to a restaurant and sit down by yourself? If you can do that and you enjoy it, then start looking for somebody else.
Yeah.
If not, you got more work to do.
This is something that I saw you were talking about in a different interview about Arabs and we needed to get better branding.
Oh yeah, our marketing is fucking horrible.
What do you think we should do, and what do you think about how we have been being portrayed in the media, and has it gotten better over time?
It has. It's definitely gotten better over time.
More voices in our community.
Yeah. Definitely gotten better over time.
Less terrorist
also,
roles.
Big shout out to all the Arab Americans, Rami, Mohammed, all of these guys. Just it's not easy, man.
Yeah.
Getting to where they got through Hollywood.
I saw Mo like a couple weeks ago. He was like, it took me 20 years to get my show made. I was like, damn, that's insane. Like, I got 10 more years left.
Isn't he like 30?
He's like 40 something.
No, he's not young.
Oh, wow.
None of
He's
us
been
are
doing
young.
it for a
Nobody
while.
in America who makes it is young unless it's a
Nepotism.
Right.
or like a one like Rami isn't.
You mean an Arab?
Rami is
Arab
young.
in America?
Arab American or American.
Okay.
You'll take a look at Louis C.K. did stand up for 20, 30 years. Bill Burr, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Everybody was in the game and working hard, but then when they make it, they capitalize on that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you really, to make it in Hollywood without nepotism or without a fluke, it's hard work. So to look at Rami or to look at Mo or Maz Jobrani or Ahmed, any of these guys
Or NEMR.
or Succeeded, I haven't made it in Hollywood.
Do you
As a TV guy, I've gotten a Showtime special. I've done incredible things, but like I'm not a good. I'm a shit actor. I'm just gonna be very honest. When I do auditions, it's like I wouldn't take me, and I just love doing stand up. I've always been like, if I become an actor, it's gonna be good to sell more tickets for stand up. But these men are great at stand up, but they're also the business of Hollywood is totally different.
Yeah.
It's not like you're funny, therefore you make it.
Right. I honestly think you're exceptional at stand up.
That means a lot.
And
Thank you.
I'll be honest, like I hadn't seen
Thank you.
your material until like we learned we're gonna interview you, and then I binge watched your stuff, and I thought you were fucking hilarious.
Oh, dude, thank you. That means
incredibly hilarious.
That really means a lot.
Seriously,
I hope
like-
you always feel that way. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
And
you.
One of my favorite comics is Louis C.K.
He's hilarious.
I think he's really funny.
He's very
And
smart.
you struck me as like I don't want
very
to compare
smart,
you too much, but like
I don't
an
masturbate
Arab-
in front of women, but yeah,
Besides
apart from that,
apart from that,
just couldn't
big
hold it in.
compliment.
apart from
Damn
that.
it.
He works 20 years
Like an
and he just
Arab.
ruined
He just
it all with
ruined
one.
it all.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine getting a woman to your like hotel room, like she's it, like the deal is closed, my man.
Yeah.
And then you're still masturbating, like goddamn, bro. That's that to me is the craziest thing of the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Do you feel like you can't really get canceled because
he wasn't canceled.
because you know
He
he's
won a
talented,
fucking Emmy
He has
that
a
year.
lot of fans. You know, like as a stand-up
That's what
comedian,
Hollywood's about, though. They would like that.
you can say
Well,
more.
Hollywood did cancel him, right? Like his movie got canceled, his show got canceled. It's like, look, you fuck up,
but he sells tickets. He sells. his,
you fuck up, you're gonna lose an audience, right?
Some audience.
Sometimes you fuck up, you gain an audience, right? Of really bad people. Like sometimes you say some incredibly racist shit. Now you're selling more tickets than ever.
Yeah.
But like, are you comfortable with that audience?
Right.
That's a different story. You don't get canceled. Cancel culture does not exist. It's the biggest joke as a Lebanese person where cancel culture involves getting death threats from actual terrorists and militias who come to your house and try to kidnap your family. And then Americans are like, they're tweeting about me. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up. Dude, to hear another comedian, bro, this baffles my mind. If George Carlin or fucking
Legend.
Bill Higgs were alive today, they would be fucking destroying these comedians. Because I cannot fathom another stand-up comic complaining about being canceled on a Netflix special they're getting $50 million for. Bro, if that's getting canceled, please cancel.
Talking about
For
Dave
the
Chapelle?
love of God, cancel. Dude, Their whole identity has become, Dave Chapelle is an icon.
Right.
I will never be like Dave Chapelle. I only wish I could be half the comedian he is. But let off it already.
Yeah.
Move on. Give us material that actually matters. Instead of going up, getting paid $50 million for me to hear about your problems. Since when did comedy become a master-servant relationship? Comedians are in service of the audience.
Yeah.
Bill Hicks said this in the early 90s, and he's prolific for this. He said politicians and religious people get paid to do, comedians get paid, right? People pay money to see a comedian. Religious people and politicians beg people to see them for free. He goes, but here's the difference. Comedians, you're not paying to see a comedian. He goes, here's the difference. The difference is a comedian, they're giving you money and saying, make us listen. There is a chasm of understanding there. Make us listen. You're there. They're paying you so that you give them a reason to be there. That's the difference. You're in service of the audience.
Yeah.
You watch old Chappelle specials or Chris Rock specials from the 90s, they would talk about, in hilarious ways, race relations, terrorism, black perception in America, all of these, Carlin specials, Bill Hicks special. Today, it's just like, I'm famous, this is some funny shit that happened to me, somebody tried to cancel me, fuck them.
Yeah.
That's not, you're no longer in service of the audience.
Right.
Nobody's getting canceled.
Yeah.
The only people who are getting canceled are people who weren't funny to begin with.
Yeah.
They just didn't have an audience. They're using as an excuse. You can't say anything anymore. Bro, all I hear
Be funny.
is people saying you can't say anything anymore. Then shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You can say that.
Shut the fuck up. If you can't say anything anymore, why are you on my Twitter
you
feed?
talking?
You got a billionaire buying up Twitter for you so you can continue to spew the dumbest shit I've heard in my life. That's what it is. That's what you were worried about.
That's a great take.
Comedians like Anthony Jeselnik and Bo Burnham are like far and few in between who actually actively say we're not doing enough
Yeah.
stuff.
in terms of being politically correct.
Yeah.
I'm on that camp. I love the fact that I used to say retarded. Somebody called me out on it and I no longer say. They educated me, man. In what dimension do we exist where I, as a comedian, do not want to grow?
Yeah.
I want to learn. I want to make mistakes and learn from them. As long as I'm not inherently sexist or racist,
Right.
I want to learn from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. So let's do it. I love that we're overcorrecting. It's a pendulum, dude. We were in the wrong direction. I lived here in the fucking 80s and in the early 90s when America invaded Iraq and we were getting death threats on the phone because you had the yellow pages and they would see Abu Nasser. I'm not even Iraqi. They'd call up our house, say they're going to rape my mom, throw rocks through our fucking window. The FBI changed our number, offered us witness protection. I was here when that was fucking happening. Not witness protection, sorry. Identity protection. There were all of these things that we existed and we lived through, right? And that was because we were in a highly racist, non-immigrant friendly, disgusting country, which was America. Now America is beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at the cuisine, the food, the wealth, the education. The education in the 90s and the 80s was, dude, America got absolutely eviscerated by Japan in the car wars with Detroit and Japan going head to head because Asian education, culture, and discipline was so much better.
Yeah.
But today, we can go toe to toe because we've had so much Asian influence, Black influence, Arab influence, European influence.
Yeah.
So this is what I want. And if we're out there arguing about pronouns and what to do, and I want that debate.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should be asking people their pronouns, but I want to know if we should be asking. Let's talk about it. Why are people why are we losing our shit over pronouns when we can't afford a fucking house in America anymore? Like, it's ridiculous how easily sideswiped everybody in the world is by the dumbest shit in the world. If I have to hear another person complain about the gay agenda and they're not gay, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. I don't hear anything from gay people. I just hear from outraged straight people. Get me a gay person to try to come and take my kids away. I want to see it, man. At this point, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Well, some of those people will say like the reason we're complaining is because these people are bringing up issues such as pronouns when we have bigger problems.
Where?
Like you're saying, why are they complaining about the pronoun thing?
Yeah, where is the pronoun thing affecting our lives?
But
Give me
saying-
an example in the last month that me, you, and you had a problem with a pronoun.
I mean, I don't personally have any.
No, I mean like
haven't
it affected you.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. Yeah, you're right.
It hasn't. Like, give me somebody, please give me an example where a pronoun ruined your life.
I don't even know what a pronoun is.
Bro, there's a few people. It started out as a fringe request from some left-wing people. I'm going to call them left-wing, gay people, the LGBTQ community. Some people said, respect my pronouns, right? Ask me. I want to be a he, him, not a she, her, or a they, them, right? And instead of being like, sure, whatever, no problem. Can you do this job? And then we moved on. America sat and latched onto it. Now it's become a global issue.
Yeah.
Bro, it's a fucking pronoun. I don't care what the fuck you want to be called. My question to you is, how are you going to enrich my life? That's all I want to know about.
Do you think it's more like what they're concerned about is
my point is the people who are
the
reason we keep hearing about it is because just like comedians who keep saying that they're getting canceled and they can't say anything anymore, but nobody's canceling them. It's the same type of people who are saying that pronouns are going to ruin everything, and nobody's talking about. I don't know any gay people who've ever come up to me and said, "I want you to say these as my pronoun," and if they do, I'd be like, "Cool."
Right.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let's move on. Like,
I think
what?
on an individual level, it really doesn't matter. Like,
Of
whatever
course
you
it doesn't matter, man. What really matters, we're not talking about.
Yeah.
And we need to talk about what matters.
People talk about like bathrooms a lot.
Bro,
They talk about bathrooms. They talk about sports.
bro, for fuck's sake, sports. I love that debate. I personally do not think that we should have transgender men who are women competing in women's sport.
Right.
That's my belief. Am I qualified? No. Am I an athlete? Bro, look at me. Am I a scientist or a biologist? Absolutely not. That's an opinion I have. Do I go out and say, this is my opinion, fuck you for not agreeing? I'll be like, this is what I think. I just think it's kind of unfair. I don't know. What do you think? All right, let's talk about it. But you can't talk about it because if I start saying anything about it, people are going to lose their fucking mind.
That's the thing, 100%.
We have bigger problems to deal with.
And it's not because we have bigger problems that this isn't important.
Right.
It's the fact that the bigger problems are out there and we ignore them that to me is hilarious.
Yeah.
And we're talking about things that aren't problems. Dude, Google the percentage of gay people in America. We're spending 100% of our time for the lowest percentage of people instead of spending most of our time for the highest percentage of people.
Why are you worried about them? Let them do whatever.
Dude, white people are out here arguing over gay people instead of arguing over the fact that white people in America can't even make it anymore. America's in trouble because white people can't even make it anymore. And they're out here worried about gay people?
So clearly, comedians are actually necessary because people don't know this. They think comedians are clowns and all that stuff, but they are one of the most educated.
Some of them are, yeah.
I mean,
A good comedian.
Yeah.
That's also
issues.
debatable. I think there's also like a room for, like Carrot Top is doing prop comedy. And I think he's great because some people love that. At the end of the day, I can make myself as important as I want to be. I'm going to be important to some people, and some people just are like, I don't want to go watch a NEMR show because NEMR is hilarious, but he makes you think. I don't want to think.
That's what I like.
That's what you like, and I love
It's
that.
it's a real
That's
life.
that's who I am.
That's why I
But some
compare
people
you
don't
to
want that. Some
Louis.
people want to get smashed, take a girl, have a great date, laugh about fart and dick jokes, and they love this comedian because they hate on women. They love that comedian because they hate on men, and they go. And good for them. Everybody has an audience.
But I think the best comedians can do that and also somehow still mix in a deep message.
I agree.
Like the
And
George
I'm
Carlins.
biased, but I mean, those are my
Louis
heroes.
CKs and
Richard Pryor,
So when you do
Eddie
that,
Murphy,
Eddie.
Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, all of these comedians have caused tectonic shifts in American culture.
and awareness. Yeah.
So you are basically saying like you are not important, but I think you are very important when it comes to this kind of stuff. So
That means a lot because ultimately people like you decide whether or not I'm important.
Yeah.
Right? My mom thinks I'm important. But apart from that, I only deserve importance if I earn it. And that's what I love about stand-up. It's such a noble profession. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like you're no matter what I've done in my career, if I do a show now and you guys show up and I'm not funny, nobody leaves and goes, the show was shit, but he was on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, so it's all good.
Yeah. Right.
That's what I love about stand-up. It keeps you honest. Music,
have to stay on it.
Music, you make a hit song, your political views shift, you shift. It doesn't matter. You're still playing the same song for years and years and years.
Yeah.
But
You can't do the same
You
stand-up
can't do that
set.
with stand-up. Bro, stand-up, people watch your stand-up and then they go, I like the way this guy thinks. I'm going to pay money to hear him think about stuff that have nothing to do with what I like.
First thing I like.
Yeah.
it's
true.
So you again like massive in the Middle East. The message is received well. Like you speak the language. You do very well there. But like when you come to the States, and obviously like before you did the 8 shows in Lebanon, you were pretty much on tour in America too.
I've been here for years now.
Yeah.
touring.
So how do you feel about the dichotomy between those two? Like
I don't feel there is a dichotomy. With my special No Bombing in Beirut, that's what I did. Like I filmed it in Beirut in America, but cut in between during the show.
Okay.
And you don't even realize which crowd you're watching react. And I wanted to do that because at the end of the day, we all have the same problems. There is the 10, 20 minutes of material that is culturally specific, where if I'm talking about like hummus, it's going to mean a lot more to Lebanese people than it is to Americans. But apart from that, we all have overbearing parents. We all suffer from debt. We all have relationships we're not happy in. We all have the same problems. So I have yet to find that big of a difference, to be honest.
So talking about hummus.
You brought out Habiza straight up.
So this is a good time to break and for
Plug our sponsor.
Yeah. So this is a crazy story because Habiza is actually made by a guy. His great grandmother is from Duma, and my grandfather is from Duma. So this is like the tahini is from literally like the mountains of Lebanon.
Really?
So apparently this is one of the most authentic hummus
Packaged
hummusai. How do you say it? In
Hummuses.
Hummuses. That you can get.
Hummuses.
Yeah. So I'm in contact with
Habiza is absolutely delicious.
You've had it?
Oh my God. It's like one of the authentic ones. So for sure.
Try it?
And the guys
Can
from
I
Surur,
dip my finger in there real quick?
some
and
pita
taste
chips,
it?
right?
Yeah.
Bro.
So
Let's have some.
crack it open.
Support Arab business, man. Let's do it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I have a question for you as a comedian. Let's say I wanted to get into comedy. How do I write a joke? Like you come up with a premise and then you come up with a punchline?
Oh, dude. I mean, you ask 15 comedians, they're going to give you 15 different answers.
How do you do it?
I go on stage and the joke finds me.
So you have like a little nugget of
In my mind, I go up and I'm like, I'm pressed about this specific thing or passionate about something. I start talking about it and I see where it goes. That's my style. When I write, it's never good. So I go up on stage and I feed off the energy and kind of like,
So you come there with like basically nothing or just like something small.
when I
and
want to
then
start
just-
working on new stuff, yeah.
You won't just like write it all out and then try it.
No. It'll be something that is important to me. And if it's important to me, then I know I'm going to have something to say about it.
And then you write down.
And then
good
and then
stuff.
it's a simple thing that's like, I want to say this about the topic. How do I say it and make it funny? And then it becomes like a mental exercise where you're thinking of these examples where you're like, this happened to me when I was a kid. That's a funny story and I can actually link them together. So let me do that. That's my way of doing it. But I think in comedy, it's all about finding your voice and you can only do that on stage.
the rest of the podcast is.
I'm going to taste this shit.
It's just going to be crunching.
This is
for the rest of
ASMR Habiza. We need olive oil though, but
I know. I was
here we go.
literally going to ask him on the phone, did you bring the olive oil? And I knew he didn't.
it.
All
There
right,
it
let
is.
me try it too. You know,
Taste
I'm
test.
going to give you.
You can taste the tahini in this.
Oh yeah?
From the mountains
It's
of
not one of
Lebanon.
those like sour hummuses that they come packaged.
There's hummus. So if you're somebody who likes
It is
the taste of tahini in your hummus, this is the ticket.
I do. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Did that make you a homosexual?
All day, every day, baby.
Habiza.
So speaking of stand-up, can I've been here and there experimenting with writing some material.
I've heard.
Can I get? You have? Nice. Can I give you a snippet? Just
Sure, it's not easy without an audience, but go ahead.
All right. I asked my friend if I can take a piss in his bathroom. He's like, of course, my friend. Take a shit too. And I'm like, nah, you know what I'm saying? It's all good. I just want to pee. He's like,
take a shower if you want to.
he's like, no, I insist. You must shit in my bathroom. So this guy proceeds to, here, I'll come with you. And this guy
What the
proceeds
fuck?
to escort me to
You
his
need a new
bathroom.
friend. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Right. And he's like, you have to try my new shatafit, my new bidet. It's very excellent. The pressure is great. And puts me in the bathroom, slides a stool under my feet. He's like, here, this will stimulate your gut. You know? It's how the Chinese poop. And
This is a true story.
no,
I'm invested.
Right when you know. Right when you
the
know.
hospitality is just, he just couldn't help it. So here I am taking a shit I didn't know I need in this guy's bathroom. And I hear him screaming from across the room, like, try the bamboo towels. They're under the sink. Only used once today. Very soft. And that's pretty much the gist of it.
Where's the punchline? I'm waiting. What the fuck? The setup was so good. I was invested.
So what?
And he's like, and that's pretty much it.
He's like,
That's all I got so
That's a good
far.
punchline. I'm not gonna lie.
Not a
Help me.
professional.
Wait, so
He's
yeah,
like,
How
help
do
me
we
finish
build
this.
this?
how do we get a punchline?
I don't know. I mean, what you've done is you put together a premise, and right now what you're going to have to find out is how. So you say he did this and did this, and you're going to link it to a real world event or something that people can identify with.
Okay.
Where being hospitable, like I can only imagine if I was like that with this scenario, what would have happened? I'm on an airplane. That's the classic formula right there.
Okay.
But I don't know. It depends on what you're trying to say. Are you trying to make a joke about? What's the joke supposed to be about?
Like,
That's the
he's
first
so
question. What's the
hospitable.
purpose of the joke? Remember how we're talking about having a
Yeah,
purpose?
yeah.
Very important. Like, is the purpose to make people laugh so it's a fart joke? Or is it the purpose to make something funny about how being hospitable is counterproductive? Or is it about how Americans are not hospitable? Like, what you could have said is, I did this. I would have shortened the amount of examples just enough to establish that this guy's super hospitable. And then you go like, I went to my white friends to Kevin's house, who he referenced earlier.
He got mad at me.
And then I go to Kevin, I'm like, can I use your toilet paper? He's like, bitch, what, get your own toilet paper. Like, I don't know. I'm just spitballing. But at that point, you're going to want to find a compare and contrast. That's like comedy 101. And then you could go even further. And that's what I do, where I'll link it somehow to ISIS losing the war. Like that. And that's where people start to really appreciate you as a comedian, because your perspective, you use things that people experience every day to illuminate on things that they never thought of with that thing that they experience every day.
Got it. Okay.
I think you could
Interesting.
use.
If only ISIS was as hospitable as your friend.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's 100%.
So if you had to like say the general outline
This
of it.
is so delicious.
Yeah, I usually don't like too much, tahini, but it's
I'm sorry.
No.
especially
So,
without the olive oil.
Yeah, we'll need those chips in a second. But no, if you had to say the general, I just want to grab the general.
Tfadal, I'm being hospitable.
Wipe your ass with the
You want to use the toilet?
I'm so hospitable. I said تفضل.
Bro, what is this, Palestine versus Israel?
Right.
Look at the chips.
The chips, bro. Oh
I
my
gave
God.
him the small piece.
He gave me the small piece.
There you go.
But,
He occupied the larger piece.
And then I ate the rest of it.
but you could have used ChatGPT to finish the rest of the joke, couldn't you?
Nice transition.
Let's talk about AI
This guy loves
and writing.
ChatGPT.
I know.
How are your thoughts?
wanted to
I'm
know
very
if-
happy
I
that
wanted to know what
ChatGPT
his
until now has
stand-up
not been
was.
funny.
Yes.
Thank God.
I want to know the formula. Like, is there a general, like, okay, first it's a story, and then it goes into,
It's got to be premise.
what's the
Premise punchline is usually the formula for stand-up.
Okay.
For any storytelling, right? The punchline is the objective.
Okay.
And the premise is, so even if you're telling somebody, if somebody says like, how do I get better in my life? Right? It's fucking fire.
Wow.
Then you're going to have to hit them with the premise, which is like, when I was doing what you were doing, I did this, and then you conclude it with the lessons that you learned. That's the same formula for any medium of storytelling. Stand-up is just storytelling, right? So I guess you got to find an interesting premise, but you got to know where you're like, the difference is, just like Bill Hicks said, if you're in a comedy audience, the crowd is paying you money to make them listen. So you got to answer the question, why are they listening to this story?
Yeah.
What's the purpose? So other situations, they're coming to hear a motivational talk. So you know that you have to make a story to motivate them. But in this case, they're here to laugh.
Yeah.
So do you want to make them laugh? Do you want to make them laugh and leave them with a message? It's up to you. You're in control.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
But going back on finishing, like,
Let
the rest-
ChatGPT write that one.
Yeah. Do you think AI can get to the point?
Yeah,
where-
I'm sure there's going to be a day. Thankfully, we're very far removed from that, because ChatGPT right now is very infantile in its artificial intelligence. Some people still say that it's not yet even truly artificial intelligence. But man, we're in trouble. Like, it's coming, right? I just like the fact that comedy, since there is no formula, Seinfeld has a totally different style of telling comedy than CK. Some people think CK is a genius. Some people think he's not. Some people think Seinfeld's the funniest stand-up. Some people think he's not. And that's the same thing that's going to end up happening. ChatGPT is going to become another comedian. Might be 1,000 other comedians.
Yeah.
But there's still going to be other people. And at the end of the day, you want the comedian to be on stage for the live experience.
Yeah.
Unless we get to the phase where
Yeah.
we're in like a post-apocalyptic world where everything's online.
Jeez.
But I mean, anything's possible. But
What's
I
up
don't
with
feel
the hummus?
I don't feel the threat from ChatGPT that other people definitely should be feeling. Software engineers, stuff like that. Yeah.
Maybe what they can do is what it can get good at is like emulating the voice of famous comedians with a lot of material out there. Like, say you can
100%.
start like doing jokes in your style or in David Chappelle's
Somebody,
style.
and that's what's dangerous, because somebody could come out and put Dave Chappelle saying some incredibly heinous shit,
Right.
and then
In his voice, let alone.
and I don't see it being able to differentiate. That's my danger right now. Instead of talking about pronouns,
Right.
I don't know why we're not discussing how the fuck we're going to be prepared for
Yeah.
Oh, the
It's-
deepfake stuff.
when a deepfake comes out about Biden. You know that's going to send people into a frenzy on the right? And they might go and some of their left-wing neighbors.
Jeez.
How are we going to protect against that, where we live in a world where people are believing the dumbest misinformation? Like, the bar for entry for misinformation to be believed is so low
Yeah.
that ChatGPT doesn't even have to clear a high bar.
Right.
So we should be discussing that.
Yeah.
whether it's ChatGPT or any other AI engine.
I just, most people are talking about how AI is a bad thing, but I feel like it's
a great thing.
It's a great tool that can be used, and you shouldn't be scared of it. But
you just got to know how to work with it, right? Like the internet, same thing. When the
People
internet
were
when it was first introduced, it was just as people were like, this is dangerous, going to change communications. And it's very dangerous, for instance, the internet for authoritarian regimes. It allows people to coordinate on a scale that wasn't available before. So there's a lot of...
a lot of the what do you call it? The things that we've made over history has been used for both evil and good.
A knife, you can cook with it, you can stab with it, right? Yeah. A gun, you can hunt with it, you can kill with it. Anything, at the end of the day, has its negatives and positives. But the fact that we're not even having a conversation about AI right now, like you have the power today to make a huge impact in your community, in your society, right now, by starting to shift the conversation, and it's for free. Just shifting the conversation. If you saw my special, Love Isn't the Answer, the main purpose of that was to talk about that the biggest war in the world is the war of narrative and how important comedy is to that. So if narrative controls everything, that's what got Donald Trump elected. Yeah. That's what made Donald Trump lose. Right. That's what got Bill Clinton elected. That's what got George Bush elected. It's narrative. Yeah. But how charismatic, how much you can control it, how much you can manipulate it.
Right. How do we control our narrative, especially as Arabs?
As Arabs, there is no way. It's by influence, right? So the more people, the more like-minded people who start to realize I'll tell you exactly how, we need to have a conversation over what the fuck our purpose is. That's it. We have not yet had that conversation. Zionists have, right? Americans have. Americans have had that conversation. Capitalism is their objective. Pure and simple. The American model, capitalism, greed, that is the objective. Yeah. Financial stability and success, that is the objective. Right. That's what they measure almost every metric from. And to a more or less extent, following is also an objective. You have somebody like Elon Musk who has more money than anyone, but is still miffed that he doesn't have the following. Like he wants more of the following. So those are objectives. What about us? We don't have a common objective. And the question is, do we even need a common objective? Shouldn't humanity have a common objective? They're not going to let us have that conversation. By they, I'm not being like DJ Khaled. I mean, corporations don't want
you to win.
No, they don't want you to have that conversation. If we start setting objectives, then we can start seeing when people's actions or companies' actions conflict with our objective. As long as we don't have a common objective, then we won't even see it.
So what do you think as Arabs should be our objective? Because it's not going to be pure capitalism.
Our objective is to make the world a better place.
Okay.
I believe that Arabs are some of the coolest, nicest, most beautiful people in the world, right? I've met Arabs from every Middle Eastern country who have been just the most hospitable, welcoming, genuine people ever. They are wise, they are intelligent, and they have a perspective that nobody else has because of what we've been through. I think our objective is to share that perspective with the world and let that world find our perspective indisposable.
See,
we need to give our people the wealth of being indisposable. And you do that through perspective, not through oil.
We were just talking about that though. Like Arabs have made the world a better place. We've been made a lot of the inventions over history.
Mathematics.
We know that.
And we don't get the credit. We don't get the credit
because we don't do that extra bit of marketing. And that's where you asked me earlier about
I think
our PR.
It's still like a lot of, for example, even like interesting.
They did the marketing for us, and they said, okay, this is what
everyone thinks Thomas Edison invented all this stuff, but it was really Tesla, right? I think that's similar. Like that similar concept happened.
And before that, it was Baghdad battery.
Yeah.
What?
No, what was that?
The Baghdad battery, the first battery.
I thought.
Oh yeah,
I thought that's like
thousands of years ago.
That was like a sex move. Or something.
No, it sounds like one. Probably is one. But thousands of years ago, the Baghdad battery was the first. The Iraqis were the first to light a bulb.
Urban Dictionary.
That's
to
crazy.
light a what?
A light bulb.
Really?
That's how. So the question was, how are they painting inside the pyramids?
Great question.
Where's the light coming from? You can't light a flame. You can't inside it because the oxygen runs out.
Oh, that's right.
So either they're going and then painting really quick and running out.
What if they took the top block, took it off?
Convertible pyramid. Yeah, I mean, exactly. It wasn't just in Baghdad. It was like in the caves and stuff. And I believe I might be mistaken on the name. I'm not an authority education wise, but there was the first battery ever made. I believe it was called the Baghdad battery.
So you're saying like that? Those are the ways to.
No. My point is we've The Baghdad battery is the name given to a set of 3 artifacts which are found together: a ceramic pot, a tube of copper, and a rod of iron. And that's how they're like drawing inside caves and stuff. Did you know that the Phoenicians were here in America thousands of years ago, long before Christopher Columbus traded with the Native American Indians?
Really?
Yes. So all of these things happened.
Right.
You didn't even know it. I know it. Some people know it. Why aren't we putting out TV shows, movies, material? Why don't we champion fellow charismatic people like yourselves who are doing podcasts and trying to get the word out? Why don't we do that? And the reason isn't because we want to show the world that we're better. It's that we want to show the world that we could be a better place if they also listen to us. At the end of the day, why do you listen to your parents when you want to make a big decision? For their perspective. You know that they love you, and you know they have your best interests at heart. But you're going to listen to them. You might not agree with them, but you're going to listen to them because their perspective is important, whether or not it's deservedly important. Right. But we have to prove that our perspective is deservedly important, and we have the portfolio to prove it. Yeah. But instead, we're letting other people who have lesser contributions paint us as terrorists and extremists. Right. And who is doing that? Terrorists and extremists. Terrorists and extremists are painting us as terrorists and extremists.
But you said you blame us for our perception. I saw it in a video. You said
100%.
Can you explain that?
We're not doing enough.
How many shows do we have like Seinfeld that the West watch?
But isn't that like a deeper, like who's making that show?
We don't have the opportunity to have that show.
Seinfeld. So how many? No. I don't think you understood what I'm saying.
Yeah.
How many? Go with me step by step. How many shows from the Middle East, not from here? That's what I meant.
But if
so I apologize.
If Seinfeld was made in the Middle East, it wouldn't be as big.
I'll rephrase the question.
Yeah, well, let him get to it.
Let me rephrase the question. How many? Let's go step by step. How many shows do we have coming out of the Middle East that make a modicum of an attempt to share our culture in a foreign language?
None.
I rest my case.
Mefi Mitlo?
How much money do we have in the Middle East? A lot.
A lot.
How many European, Western, and Asian people do we bring to the Middle East and give them our money?
A lot.
A lot. So we can't spend a bit to make a TV show or a movie?
Did you ever hear? Okay.
So that's my point. Because we don't have an objective and we've never had this conversation, there's no thought about that. So like Abu Dhabi and all of that are trying to do their best to support cinema, right? But they're doing it by giving money to local creators, but they're still doing content in Arabic. I'm not saying we have to do content in English, quite the contrary. But the success of America to bomb Iraq and still be a champion to Iraqis is because of cinema and TV. In the 80s, you would have movies about Americans being the heroes and all the Arabs are the terrorists. Yeah. In the 80s, Rambo came. Was it Rambo? It was Rambo. Rambo?
Rambo.
It was Rambo with Osama bin Laden, right? Rambo 3 or 2, where he goes to Afghanistan and they fight Russians side by side with the Taliban. And at the end, in the credits, they've removed it now, but in the credits, it said, this movie is dedicated to Osama bin Laden and the brave fighters, the brave mujahideen of the Taliban.
Really?
Well, we trained the Taliban. They were our allies until we fucked that up. Yeah. But that was basically what it was, right? Wow. So at that point, so during that time, dude, America's cinema and culture gets exported that way. And Americans, how many of us wore Chicago Bull hats and T-shirts when we were growing up? How many of us listened to Michael Jackson when we were growing up? How many of us watched Terminator 2 like 1,000 times?
I think bolstering my point at least that America is the place to be exported from.
That's what I was saying, and you're the one that told me there was Norwegian films last time.
No,
America.
I'm saying
now that it's bigger,
I'm not saying America's the place to export from. I'm saying America's the model to copy.
In the 80s, there wasn't Netflix where we had exposure to those kind of Scandinavian genres and Arabic, Turkey, all these shows that we can
Turkey's
now watch.
Doing incredible.
Yeah, we can watch these shows now because of streaming and but.
Did you ever?
Again,
You're saying
imagine Netflix has opened the door for worldwide content, and we have yet to put out a show that Americans would enjoy.
I think. Well, we are.
Turks have.
Yeah.
I think we are, but we just don't
They
get
do a
the
good
same
job.
chance. We're not getting the same.
The Middle East. There's Netflix in the Middle
representation.
East. No, there's Netflix in the Middle East. We could put out a show like that. We don't have the backing. Arabs are not investing in themselves. They're not backing Arab creators. They're going to back Americans because it's a safer investment. Period. They have the experience. They have the history. That's why we need to support each other.
Okay.
Creatively, we need to come to America, go to Europe, succeed, and then not forget where we came from and do that. Why? Because we need to give wealth to ourselves, and our wealth is in our perspective. It's not in the cars we own. Bro, when you buy a car, you're not wealthy. The person who sold you the car is wealthy. I don't understand how the fuck people don't get this yet. You buy a house, you're not wealthy. The person you bought the house from is wealthy. The bank is wealthy until you own the house. Right. Then that is an asset for you, but it's still susceptible. Our wealth that nobody can take away from us is our perspective. And I don't know how to tell people about the Arab perspective, because whenever I tell it to them, I'm telling it to them for the first time. That's what needs to change.
And that is why we started the Habibi House podcast.
That is why I'm here.
And we have NEMR on our
that's
show,
why I'm here. I talked to
us
Asad a long time ago, and he's like, I want to do a podcast. This is what I want to make it. I want to gear it towards it. I'm like, you make that podcast. You say jump, I'll say how high.
We appreciate that so
No, dude,
much,
I appreciate you guys, because this is the first podcast that I've been on that's like this.
Yeah.
So keep it up.
#1 Arab
Keep it
American
up.
podcast in the universe.
Number one. Just like I was the #1 comedian when there were no other comedians. You know?
Exactly. What do you think sounds
nice.
better, the first Arab American podcast or the #1?
I'd say you should call yourselves the
Arab American
Premier.
podcast.
The Arab American.
Nice.
Not
I
the
like that.
premier.
Simple.
The.
Just the.
Arab
The.
American.
There are
I
none.
mean, the Habibi
You
House.
are
With
the
the
Habibi
rasp.
House.
The.
And you guys are bringing really great people over. The episodes you put out so far are fucking fire.
Hell yeah.
You're all very charismatic. You're very welcoming. I think you guys have gold. And and I love the fact that you're from different places. And I think you're like teaching with every episode, like how if we just get along and set a common goal, which you guys literally have done. This is a microcosm of the Arab solution right here, man.
We put away, like,
You
honestly,
should see the behind the scenes.
this podcast has probably fallen apart like a dozen times, but because we have
Common goal.
purpose,
Yeah.
the common goal,
You keep coming back
we
to it.
keep coming back to it,
Yeah.
and
It's been rocky
you know,
at times for sure.
Obviously, that's the whole point. It's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
That's why, like, when you achieve it, nobody can take it away from you because you went through so much to get it. So if anyone wants to compete with you guys, it's going to be the same thing.
they're gonna have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So keep at it. But some of the lead developers on franchises like God of War, Spider-Man, and the biggest studios, Lebanese, Arab, Palestinian, Syrian dudes.
Really?
Yeah. If you want, I can connect you guys with them. And they're there.
Wow.
They're talented. You don't lose anything by being Arab.
Yeah.
You don't gain anything by being Arab. As long as you're a smart human, you're a smart human. Right. But you guys now have a platform where I could go to this guy, hey, these are some Arab guys who are interested in putting the spotlight. And the question is, why are you doing that? Because you want to elevate our perspective. Absolutely. That's the purpose. Absolutely. So my question is, we're going to need somebody who's going to invest in Arab talent. We got to make sure that Arab talent is recognized. You guys are one of the biggest ways to do that. I do it through my stand-up. You're doing it through your podcast. And if we keep doing this, eventually the money will find us.
Yeah.
And our project will go off. We may have to make a few low-budget projects like Neil Blomkamp, the director who did District 9, did it on a shoestring budget, and then he could do anything he wanted in Hollywood. Yeah. Sometimes you got to prove yourself.
You have to.
What's good about Hollywood, you prove yourself, and they throw money at you.
Right.
What's bad about the Middle East is you prove yourself and they start thinking about, well, how can I make sure that he realizes I'm still the boss? Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the culture we need to step away from. And us as youth, we have.
Yeah.
I'm not here trying to show you guys that I'm a big deal for your podcast. Right. You're not here trying to show me that you are a big deal. We're here together to say, look what we can both bring to the table and what we can produce. 100%. And that mentality is gonna change the world.
100%.
And the world needs us.
I agree. And yeah, of course, we'd love to meet those folks.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like crazy because we don't even know those people exist. Right. Even us who are deep into all this. Yeah. There's a lot of Arabs in the music industry. There's a lot in the film industry too that I've met that are making some sort of way for themselves.
Yeah. Dude, the producer for Terminator and Rambo is Mario Kassar. He's a Lebanese guy who still speaks with a Lebanese accent. And he's so fucking Lebanese. He was on a podcast and he's talking about how he funded getting Sylvester Stallone for
Rambo.
For Rambo.
Wow.
And he's like, so I saw him and I told him I have $18 million. And the guy on the podcast was like, you had 18 million? He's like, no, I had nothing. So I go to Paris and my father or uncle owns a bank. And I said, give me 18 million or 1.8 million, some absurd number.
Yeah.
And he said, okay. And I go down. And the guy, he goes, I will not give you. I go, Habibi, my uncle, like you're listening to the most Lebanese dude. And this guy's produced the biggest hits in the world. Nobody knows.
That's wild.
They're all over. The Halloween franchise is owned by a Jordanian guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He also did Lawrence of Arabia. His father did Lawrence of Arabia.
Wow.
But his father and his sister died in the terrorist attack in Jordan in that hotel years ago.
Yeah.
And now he runs the company.
Wow.
But these are all people that are amongst us
that
are succeeding, but they fear us They fear Arabs because historically, Arabs will see another Arab succeeding and think about how I can screw him over. And that is a problem. It's been a problem in the comedy industry, a huge problem. It's a problem in every industry.
That is a problem.
I am against that, and I want to collaborate, and I want us to win with Asians, white people, black people, and everyone, and Arab people. We should all cooperate and win.
I remember my acting teacher when I went to USC. He was like, "Be happy if someone that looks like you is succeeding, because that means there's more opportunities for people like you."
Right. That's why people are like, "Why does Mo have a TV show and you don't?" I go, first of all, I'm not as good as he is for TV. Period. And the proof is I don't have a TV show. And second of all, the fact that he has a TV show means he just made it easier. Just like when I started doing stand up in the Middle East, I made it easy for everybody. To do it. No, now there's of course it was hard, dude. Nobody knew what the fuck I was talking about. I'd go into a venue and they'd be like, "How much do we charge for a ticket?" And I'd be like, "Oh, it's like," I tell them, you could do a minimum charge, $10, and he'd be like, "That's a band, and those are 4 people on stage. You're just one guy, so it should be $2.50." That was their mentality, and you had to prove yourself. And then it was easy because as soon as I made money for them, they were like, "Oh, this is a bad." And then they're like, "Wait, we don't need a line, like a back line. We don't need instruments. We don't need people. Just one guy, a light and a thing.
Come any day,
bro. Let's go." So so it was just about proving yourself, and we got to do that as Arabs, and we're doing that. We got people paving the way. I did it with stand up. Mo's doing it with Rami and TV. Maz did it in TV before all of us. Right, and the axis of evil and everything. So it's happening. It's good. We need to keep doing it.
I wanted that
and support local artists, like a Lebanese, an Arab singer, rapper, artist. You got to go, man. You got to go. You got to buy. You got to support. You got to go. Show up. You got to. It's easy to talk about it, but you got to you see art you like that somebody made. You put it on your personal page. You tell your friends. You drag your friends there. We don't have that culture. Americans have been more loyal to me, Australians and Europeans, than my Arab audience. My 100%. Arab audience is very loyal. But if I get one white American who comes to a show, sees me once, they are at every fucking show for the rest of my life. They're checking for tickets in advance. They're communicating. They're bringing their friends over there. We need to do it. We got to champion each other, man. And if we do, the sky's the limit. Because we're good people, man. We got a lot to offer.
100%.
There's enough for everybody to eat.
100%.
Oh my God, dude.
And I think there's more and more of us, to your point, doing it. Like we went to an Eliana show, which I don't know if you've heard of her.
Of course I have.
Amazing, right?
Fire.
And it was such a beautiful display of our community coming together. Like it was everyone from like Wissam, like Slaby, the guy for Universal Radio.
Fredwreck.
To Fredwreck, who's like a goated Dr. Dre Eminem collaborator, producer, to Masari, to Ghazi from Empire, and Sahel. Like,
so imagine if we did that on the regular.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine where we'd be if we did that on the regular?
100%.
And
we have a community.
We have a community.
We don't really have.
You guys are doing a great job by finally bringing a forum for that, right? Where people can see it publicly.
Right.
Keep doing it. Don't worry about numbers. Don't worry about content. Don't just worry about consistency because eventually the competition's coming for you. I'm just letting you know because once you guys start, once it succeeds, there's going
to be a copycat.
Another Arab.
There's going to be another copycat, and I think they should do it 3 fat guys, not handsome, beautiful. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
they'll be funnier if
they're probably. I don't know if they'd be funnier because you guys are hilarious. But I'm ready for you for like a 3-woman podcast. I'm ready for it, right? And that's good.
I love it. Yeah.
Because that way you guys could actually do a podcast. That's what I would think.
Yeah.
Like let them build an audience, and you have an audience, and then you grow together.
Right.
That's what I love about Twitch when I stream on Twitch. Bro, that platform is nuts. I finish a stream or somebody finishes a stream. They have 500 people watching them. And then they say, we're going to all go and raid another person's channel. Then they bring their entire community over to me.
Yeah.
You're taking your community to what's supposed to be competition. It's not. Because if they love my content, then they love Twitch. And if they love Twitch, then they love the medium. And if they love the medium, then we grow.
Time on there.
We got to grow. We got to grow, man. And you don't grow by isolating yourself. You grow by interacting and having confidence that you are worthy and they are worthy. And together you can create magic.
Abundance,
baby.
100%.
We got it, man.
100%.
Like I'm not intimidated by the fact that you guys look more beautiful than I am. I know
very
that.
Good looking man.
I'm a very handsome man, but then when I walk into this room, I go down like 10 levels, dude.
But you're 6'5",
you know what I'm saying? You
so
think
that
I'm ever going to introduce any of you to
points.
my wife? You better be fucking, you are mistaken, baby, okay? She thinks I'm the most handsome man in the world and I'm keeping it that way. Okay.
Hey, listen, when you have that height,
bro,
that's true.
Ballpark.
That's true. I do have the.
There's a market for men.
I got the height, man. But that's thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God my parents were tall and they fucked because, man, I would imagine I was.
You don't know if they did though.
I'm pretty sure. Because if you look at my mom and you look at my dad, you see me, right? But I do agree. You never know. They might have.
What did your parents do?
They're adult film stars in the Pioneer.
Talking about that.
My mom was a housewife who was a ballerina and a model when my dad met her. And then he did the Arab thing where he's like, okay,
No, you do nothing.
you live your life, but now
That's
no
messed
more ballerina model.
But that's
And
messed up, though, right?
It was definitely messed up at the time. And now he progressively, throughout his life, my dad's become a lot more progressive. And my mom also wanted to be a housewife. So it wasn't like she wanted to be a mother. So it wasn't also like he did it to force my mom. Yeah. But like that was what my mom was. She got married and everything. And then they moved to Saudi Arabia. So it's not like she had to give up her modeling career. There was no modeling career.
Yeah.
Which is why my mom's my hero. She's like, I want to have kids and I'm going to take care of them. And she did it through
NEMR.
She named my grandfather.
How did that even happen?
My dad's dad. It's the tradition. So my son's going to be Joseph or Yusuf. And my dad's dad was NEMR. And his dad was Joseph. You know, that's how we do it. Yeah. But my mom and my dad got married and they went, to Saudi. And then in Saudi back then, it was very different. My dad couldn't take my mom to a doctor's office or anything because guys would look at her like, because they don't interface with women. Yeah. So he left Saudi Arabia. So like there was respect. Like my dad was like, I can't raise a family here. So he leaves and they go to Lebanon and then they leave Lebanon because of the war and they go to America because my dad's like, I need to get my kids stability and a citizenship. And they got that for us and they took us back to Lebanon because they're like, I don't want them to grow up with these racist, horrible people in the 80s that were here. I want to give them the culture and everything. So they did all they could. Wow. And that took sacrifice from my mom and my dad. My dad was a civil mechanical engineer who later on in his life went into insurance and became a businessman. And my mom was really the family. She held the family together. It was a team effort, but their sacrifice is immeasurable. Yeah. And I only hope I can be half the man.
Do you have any siblings?
I have a sister.
Okay.
Maria. She's a fashion photographer here in Hollywood,
so
in Los Angeles.
Your sister is in fashion and your wife is in fashion.
My wife is in fashion.
Yeah.
And your mom was...
And my mom was in fashion. Fuck. I never connected the dots. I got to type.
Really?
I guess.
Some Freudian stuff going on.
I guess so. I'm into creatives.
Yeah.
So for me, it's always like I want passionate people. And I think like...
That Elie Saab thing is cool too, right?
Dude, that's
people don't realize that like in Hollywood, on the red carpet, Lebanese fashion designers are
top notch.
Yeah,
Elie Saab has dressed everyone from J-Lo to Halle Berry to Oscar winners to the whole deal. And she was his lead designer for 2 years, ready to wear, and started working with the haute couture. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing her.
Does she have any hand-me-downs that we could
She's got a few. But she's not handing them down to anybody. And let me tell you how badass my wife is. Yeah. When she got married, she told me that her whole life, her dream was to get married in an Elie Saab dress. And not only did she get married in an Elie Saab dress, it was a dress she designed. Ooh. So like that was
big flex.
That was a big flex. That was a big flex. I was like, God damn, you know what I'm saying? And she didn't let me pay for it.
Oh,
she was like, I was ready. I'm an Arab guy. I was like, I will pay for everything. And she's like, no, this is because she's like, I want to. This is an achievement. This is something I wanted to do, and she did it, man. Dude, that girl, fucking, she blows my mind because she's the typical Arab woman who has parents who empower her from when she's young, and she just blows me away at every fucking like milestone that she achieves, and she does it effortlessly. And I put in so much work to achieve, and then I turn around and I look at her, I'm like, it's effortless for her. And she's just like an Arab guy. She wants to achieve, she wants to succeed, she wants to make her own, and she wants a family, and it's beautiful.
Talking about that, kids, what's going on?
We're planning on we want kids.
Okay.
And
how many is like too many?
Too many? I don't know if you can have too many kids. I love kids, but we want 2 kids. 2 kids is like ideal. 3 kids would be like, all right, we got to pause. You know what I'm saying? Just because of the world we live in today. Yeah. And we'd like to have the resources to spend a lot on our kids. And I don't mean like money. I mean like attention and time. Yeah. And, the world's taking a lot more time from us. I'm 39. I'll be 40 in a few weeks. And I don't have kids yet. And I'm aware of that. But we've talked about it, and we've realized that we both have a lot of goals, and we need to set up our kids for a world where in 20 years a house is going to cost like $20 million. So we've spent this past year and probably the next couple of years focusing on our goals professionally and on each other and enjoying our time together, so that when we get those kids, the focus goes on them.
Like personally, you're at the age cutoff for me. I think for like if I'm
You
gonna have
want
kids
40,
or not.
40
Like
to be
if I don't have kids by 40, because I don't want to be the old dad. You know, like
I was
18.
just like you. I got robbed a couple years by COVID.
Yeah.
Oh,
That-
I mean, everyone. did
everybody.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like you. I always wanted to be like, when I'm 40, I want to have my first kid.
Right.
But now it'll be 42 or 41 or whenever we're blessed.
Right.
And so be it. You know, when it happens, it happens. But in terms of a planning stage, that's kind of where we're at. For her to have a kid now would stifle her career.
Right.
If she were to have a kid right now, she's brand new to the U.S. She's building herself up. She wants to start her own company. I'd be doing her a disservice.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could keep traveling and leave her to take care of the kid. That's some fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
When
That's
you
not
came to America, how bad was it? Was there racism? Like
In the 80s or now when I came back in 2016?
no, but more so
2014.
back then, like in the
Back then,
80s,
yeah.
90s,
Dude,
early-
back then, Olive Garden was considered fine Italian dining.
oh, crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Pizza Hut was a revolution. We didn't have the culture of like immigrant food even. America now is radically different.
Way better.
And way better, infinitely better. Crime was insane. You had the crack epidemic that started in the 70s. The horrifying way that Americans thought dealing with drugs would work, and it didn't. It just furthered the exploitation of black communities and the destruction of multiple immigrant communities in America. All of that is now being course corrected, and it needs a lot more. But yeah, no, there's a wild difference, man. America in the 80s was not a place you wanted to raise a family. Wow. Period. Anywhere and everywhere, even in California.
Yeah.
You know, and in
But, like,
San
we're-
Diego,
we're white passing though.
you know that we're white because of a Lebanese dude, right?
Oh yeah. Let's talk about it.
You know that story?
I do know, but I want you to say
don't.
it.
So this Lebanese guy, bro, Lebanese guys are so fucking messed up. This shit is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
I researched it. He came here, he wanted land. And he goes, and they said, but you're not American. And he said, I'm white. And then he like sued to get us classified as white people so that if we're classified as black, he knew that we wouldn't be able to be landowners.
Wow.
It was one or the other.
We were either going to be Asian, black, or white, or Asian or black. And Asian and black both, I don't know if you guys are aware, but like during World War I, there were the camps here.
Right.
Asians were heavily discriminated against. Blacks were, obviously, black people were heavily discriminated.
Right.
Obviously.
Right.
So us becoming white people meant we were Irish Catholic, Greek, you know.
I heard it. Like they also let.
And it gave us opportunities, government programs we could take advantage of, and handouts and Federal
Now
Reserve.
it's working against us.
That we're white. I don't know if it's working against us because no white person looks at us and thinks we're white.
Right. Right. Yeah.
They look at us and they're right.
It's just not
what we
working.
mentioned. We
It's just
mentioned
not
it.
working
We were
anymore.
like, it's convenient for other people to call us Arab when
Yeah.
it it's for them, and then
Yes, sir.
when it's convenient for them to call us white, that's what
They'll
we
do
And
it.
it's also because I heard something about like Jesus being Middle Eastern, and they were like, "Oh, Jesus is white, so
Yeah,
you guys are
Jesus
white."
is. Everybody knows Jesus from Omaha. Jesus was a carpenter from Omaha.
Nebraska.
No, didn't you hear
Yeah.
his real name is Joseph Smith? He
Joseph
came to
Smith.
Missouri.
Is that from Missouri? Is that who he is?
Yeah.
Jesusu.
Right.
Jesus, he's a Mexican dude. Hey, man, Mexicans and Lebanese are the same people as far as I'm concerned.
yeah.
You hang out with them,
literally just having that conversation.
big family gatherings.
Arabs in general.
Arabs in
right?
general.
Mexicans and
A
Hispanic.
lot of Lebanese in
Latinos.
Brazil and Mexico.
Bro, I think Arabs in general, I think every race of people are so similar. The only outlier has been the new age white people. New age. You know, like
Is that a
like,
genre
like
of music?
culture.
yeah, new age, like people who have multiple generations raised in the same state in America, whatever state that might be.
What about
right?
them?
The Valley girl, the Southern girl. Those are the people that find Arab culture or any other culture to be, it's like them and the world is what I've noticed. Because anybody in America, from Asians to black to Arab to European to whatever, we all have big families, overbearing parents, the same issues. It's just white people are like,
I see what you're saying.
you know what I'm saying? Like their parents don't pressure them to be doctors or engineers, but everybody else does, you know?
They're so individualistic and
Yeah.
worried about
The ways
But
that-
Irish Catholics were the same. Like Irish Catholics, the immigrant population, the Polish that came into America, all the Italians, those are the same. I'm just talking about like the new age white people,
Yeah.
right? Who have like,
It's like being Americanized generation.
an
after
Americanized
generation.
white people where they think like mayonnaise is a spice. Those people, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Not the problem. They're not a problem.
Is it
They're just
a
like, that's the
factor-
outlier.
Is it a factor of complacency and like comfort over generation after generation?
It's assimilation. They've been assimilated
Survival tactic
into the
too, right?
capitalist model.
Well, no,
they
it's
are
the
they are
opposite of
they are
survival.
ingrained.
It's just comfort.
Culture doesn't work well with capitalism. Capitalism is about greed and making money and getting your bag. and securing it. And that's what capitalism is, right? Culture is about doing the right thing and looking out for your family. That goes counter to even if it costs you money, you take care of your parents. Other people be like, it's going to cost me money because I have to take care of them. I'm just going to throw them in a home.
Right.
That is a capitalistic, purpose-driven family unit, and we're not capitalistic.
The more we
So that's
more we assimilate, the less culture we have.
That's true. So it's capitalist, but the type of assimilation is important in this case. It's capitalist assimilation.
Right.
They've gone into the blue collar, work hard, get a home, retire in Florida, die.
Yeah, I was just saying
sign
survival
me up.
tactic because
Fuck Florida, man. That place is hot. God damn, in the summer,
Say it again.
it's hot.
But the part before that,
Fuck Florida.
he's from Florida. What
No, Florida. I mean, the people
do you think
are
about
great. I mean,
Michigan?
like the weather, dude. I'm talking.
What do you think about Michigan?
he had a point to make.
Michigan? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just saying it's a survival tactic because I feel like minorities have this competition as who is going to be like the best minority.
Isn't that a shame, though?
You know what I mean? That and that's the
stressful.
problem. So
Who wants to be second place?
Yeah.
How about we
Everyone wants
all?
to be it's called model minority.
But if we all collaborate,
right.
we don't have to have a play. That's the like. What can you bring to the table?
'Cause
And
we
then we
see
can
it.
achieve something great together.
You see the great with the waves of emigration from the civil wars in Lebanon, we ended up everywhere, right? Like Mexico, especially Mexico and Brazil, right? There's more Brazilian Lebanese than there's
Argentina,
Lebanese,
Africa, all over.
So
Australia.
you see when you have those
Canada.
the combination and that not assimilation, but just like we combine almost like an fusion. A lot of great things come out of it. And
It's so true.
Yeah,
Dude, even genetically, the further you marry from your genetic pool,
It's better for you.
it's better for the health of your children, your immune system, and everything. So it's literally hard. If you believe in God, it's like the example. It's hard coded. You want to make fruits, you cross pollinate further. You like everything comes out more resilient and stronger when you combine different perspectives.
So I shouldn't marry a Lebanese girl. I should just marry a Latina.
You're marrying a Lebanese girl if you marry a Latina. Ideally,
That's too close.
Ideally, what you want to marry is the person that brings the most to the table perspective wise. You want to get away from marrying somebody who is so similar to you that it's like marrying yourself.
Interesting.
My wife and I, I'm very progressive. She's very conservative. I'm a huge risk taker. She's somewhat risk averse. And that is so important.
you balance each other.
Because
out.
if you surround yourself with yes men, then you're basically going to become Kanye West. You become so successful that you break under the own pressure of your success. You have to surround yourself with people, and I've done that my entire life, who criticize and don't agree with me.
Yeah.
All my life. Even Asad, when I was in Florida, what was the conversation we had as soon as we walked out? We were discussing how I could improve my social media presence. Instead of talking about what a great show was. The show was great. That's good.
Yeah.
Achievement unlocked.
You still remember
But we're trying to talk about how to do better still.
Yeah.
100%.
That's the thing. It's not about tearing each other down. It's literally about like
Building.
you nailed this. You nailed this. There's a weakness there. How can we build it up?
He's
That's
great.
what-
He's great at doing that.
He's amazing, dude. Asad's one of the smartest people I know. He's a really good guy too, and he's honest and he's decent. You put those qualities together, and you're set. He's short,
Yeah.
But apart from that,
if I'm short, then how short?
bro, I
are they?
gotta knock you down a peg. You're not short at all. He's almost my height, so you know.
I was just gonna say, how much did he pay you to say that? Because I could pay you double.
Man, I've known Asad for a while now. How long has it been? A year or two? 2 years probably. And in those 2 years, man, I've had nothing but great interactions, positive, and every friend I've met of his has been a good person. So you are who you surround yourself with.
100%.
I mean, look at you guys. So
There we go.
you guys bring value to him.
Oh yeah.
Shout
I
out
think
to-
it takes some maturity to have the perspective that you did, because like a lot of the time he will bring out he'll be critical before he's like encouraging.
As he
And,
should be.
At times it
I
can
am
be
the same.
off-putting.
I'm a comedian. Imagine a comedian not being able to take criticism.
Yeah.
That's all we do.
Yeah.
You
Just
want
criticize.
you want
Because
criticism.
you're selling out shows all over the world.
Yeah.
But again, like only having 60K on Instagram is just not cutting it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You need
Yeah. I have a
like
problem there. That's a
But you
weak
have
spot.
great content.
But on the same end, the metric that I like about my socials is that I sell more tickets with 60K than people who have 6
Right,
million.
right.
Yeah.
But that
Your
doesn't.
audiences
But that
are
doesn't.
insane.
But the approach would be incorrect to say, oh, so I'm better. The approach is, so imagine what I could do if I had 6 million.
Exactly.
Because my following is loyal and real.
Right.
I don't post memes and stuff. So I got to figure out how to increase that following.
Got to do crowd work.
Well,
apparently.
I mean, that's one way. That's one way.
Matt
All right,
Rife.
I gotta get
for
that
you.
plastic surgery, maybe, to look like Matt Rife.
No, honestly,
No disrespect to him, is a good friend, and I think he deserves more success than he currently has. I think he's a titan. I love him.
no, but the crowds you have, dude. I was watching some of those videos, and it's just like a sea.
I have
freaking
huge
people,
crowds
bro.
that show up for
Insane.
me all over the world,
Insane.
whether it's in Australia, Europe, America, or in the Middle East. But I also do shows. Like when I did the show in Florida with like 120 people in the audience.
Wow.
Because
But it was still-
it was a great show.
Intimate.
It was intimate. It was beautiful, but it was a small crowd because I don't have a presence there yet.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I took people like Bill Burr and Chapelle, everybody, not Chapelle, he started out young, but Bill Burr and Eddie Murphy and everybody. It takes years for them to succeed because you got to build your presence, or it's like you get a lucky break.
Yeah.
But you can still sit, but you got to build your presence through consistency.
Right.
And for me, I'm like, if I don't have a crowd there, we go and we build it,
Yeah.
you know? And you're never going to become the greatest if a little criticism brings you down.
Of course. Speaking of criticism, I watched one of the podcasts you were talking about. I mean, it's kind of a theme in your Love Is Not the Answer.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about self-hate.
About, hate.
And how
The power of hate in
the
general.
power of hate in general and
Yeah.
the power of hating aspects of yourself.
I love hate.
Can we just tap into that a little bit?
I mean, I say it in the special, and the greatest way to summarize it is that we got to change our relationship with hate because it's real and it exists. If two people love each other and the people around them don't want them to be together, because of religion, because of income differences, whatever, right? If they fight to stay together, they don't fight to stay together because they love each other. They already love each other. That didn't change. They fight to stay together because they hate being apart. And finding the positive and the value in hate is very important because that hate is a motivator. When you're in love, you don't want to do anything. You just want to sit down, go to the beach, enjoy and bask in that love.
Yeah.
But when somebody threatens that love and you hate what they're doing, you want to take care of that. The way to do that is with the motivation of hate. But hate is very dangerous because it can cause a lack of discipline. It can cause over emotion.
Yeah.
But if you can learn to discipline the hate, like if I go to a Palestinian guy and I say, the best way to fight the Israeli occupation is through the power of love, I deserve to get slapped in the face. Because I'm telling the Palestinian guy that he is unjustified, or girl, in having hate in their heart. But what I want to go, and I'm not going to tell them this, but what they should be telling each other is that we have hate. How do we use it to fuel ourselves towards whatever their victory they choose to be? So using hate is important, and hate exists. Simply saying fight hate with love doesn't work, never works. One guy with a gun will empty a stadium of 50,000 people who have love in their hearts and cause pandemonium and panic. The power of hate is infinitely stronger than love. The power of love is a great glue, but the power of hate is a great decoupler.
Yeah.
And you can't rely on glue to keep things together.
Right.
All right. You gotta make sure you can face hate with hate, and that hate has to be disciplined. It has to be smart. It has to be patient. It has to be opportunistic. And you can't do those if you're emotionally filled with hatred. So when I have kids, my plan is if they say I hate something, I'm going to sit them down and ask them, why do you hate it? And what are you going to do about it? And that'll start a pattern of thought where when they identify something that is bringing them down, I hate that I'm fat. I hate that I'm out of shape. I hate that I'm too skinny. I hate that I'm this. I hate that girls don't like me. So incel behavior.
Right.
Fucking nobody wants to sleep with me. Fuck girls. I hate girls.
Yeah.
That their hatred of not being wanted is very valid.
Yeah.
Right.
But everything from there derails. They should hate that girls don't want to hang out with them. The question is, so why don't they?
Right.
And what are you going to do about it? And what kind of girl are you looking for? And from there you can work. And then it's like, all right, go to the gym, read some books, get a better education, work on your personality.
Learn about pronouns.
That might help. I mean, if you're on Tinder, being a Republican isn't going to help you.
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't mean you shouldn't be a Republican. Right. Maybe you should find a different avenue.
Don't
It just
be on
means you got to find out whatever your hatred is, identify it, absorb it, calm yourself with it, and then discipline it and overcome it. And you will find that's how you open up your life for love.
Yeah. That's where I like how that's what it's been pointing towards. It's like you don't use the hate just to fuel more hate.
No.
It's so
You
that
use the
can
hate to
come
end
to
it.
a place of love at the end.
You use the hate to end it so that you can open yourself up
Right.
for love.
Right.
I hate the fact that if I have kids, somebody might kill them in a school shooting.
Right.
I'm not going to answer that by telling my kids, fill your life with love.
Yeah.
and the bullets will bounce off of you.
It's like, no, be vigilant.
I'm gonna participate in elections.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that my elected officials feel the pressure. I may have to run in an election if it gets that serious. I will do what I can to make a change because I hate that my kids are living this.
Right.
Because I lived a much bigger version of it in the Middle East. I don't want that for my kids. So I use that hate. But I don't let that hate mean that I'm going to beat my wife.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's where
Yeah.
I get so angry. I get drunk. I come home. I abuse my children.
Right. It's the pointed anger, right? The one
It's
that's
discipline, dude.
discipline.
Martial arts, I did that for a while. That's what it teaches you. A lot of people are like, oh, MMA is so much stronger than karate or whatever. Nothing that has to do with martial arts has to do with fighting.
Yeah.
All martial arts is using physical activity to tame the spirit.
Right.
And the spirit is the real strength there. You're going to lose a fight. There is no one way. Somebody has a gun, everything. MMA, they're going to shoot you in the face. It's done.
Yeah.
Martial arts is about seeking perfection of character and just the journey of that, right? And that's what taming hate is as well. You got to know when to set a priority, how to go about it, and how to overcome it. And it's a lifelong pursuit, man. And then love. Love is easy. Love takes no effort. But even love, you can love a bit too much, and it can turn into hate.
Love can kill.
Love can kill. You love a woman so much, and then she falls out of love with you, and then you end up murdering her.
It's two sides of the same coin, is how I see it. Like it's
They
almost
are.
the same emotion. That's why it's
Passion.
not necessarily a bad emotion.
It's passion.
It's how you use it.
I have this bit in another show that I did where I talk about a guy who was making death threats about me, and I'm like, dude, this guy loves me.
Yeah.
Like he's putting so much time to finding out where I live and going after like this guy's just misdirect. Like
They say
exactly.
that hate is the sincerest form of affection or love. Basically.
wow, I have to think about that. That's a pretty deep one. That's interesting.
But
I think the
unfortunately,
biggest problem
we
is
have
fear,
to,
not hate. But go ahead.
I agree with that. As a last thought, fear
Yeah.
is the poison of everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Fear and doubt. Self-doubt is the worst.
Yeah.
If you have self-doubt, address it, hate it, focus it, overcome it.
You hate the fear and the doubt.
I hate the fear and the doubt.
Right.
I hate hate is a very hate has done great things for me.
Fear and pain make a coward of us all. So that's
Yes,
how-
sir.
Yeah.
And
But
what you
anyway.
gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you going to do about it? And what's your
to the gym.
And what's your purpose?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, the gym is my go-to for everybody because it's about that teaches your brain discipline.
Yes.
Right? To go and set an objective, work for it, see results. It trains your brain to realize that you can do anything.
Yeah.
Right. But unfortunately, we're coming to
Ran
the
out of
close.
time.
But I just
Great
wanted
full
to,
circle about the purpose. What is
Yeah.
the purpose?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I love how
what is
we've
the
all
purpose?
huddled in closer together. I don't know if you noticed, like as the podcast went down, like it's really dope. It's
brother,
good we're stopping it
I
now because
wanted to
man,
give-
hour from now it's just
going.
closer coming up.
Oh man.
But I wanna
Pronouns
give
are getting confused. Sorry, keep going.
I just wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe shout out anything like special.
I would love to.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
coming up?
Habibi podcast. Is that the camera?
Yes.
Make sure you guys not only subscribe and follow and everything, tell your friends, tell your family, let everybody know they're doing it. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you for having me. It really means a lot to me that you'd actually have me on your show. And apart from that, NEMRcomedy.com for any tickets. I got a new tour dropping early 2024. I still got Canada and Europe in October and November.
Nice.
And a couple of Dubai's in November as well, and Kuwait. Nice. And I'm on Twitch all the other time. Also NEMR Comedy, NEMR Comedy.
Oh yeah, we didn't
If you
talk
like
about
gaming.
the Twitch stream.
Next time,
What do you play?
everything on
We're gonna
Variety
stream
Streamer.
it on Twitch. Hopefully next time.
Next time we'll
Yeah.
stream it on Variety Streamer, but the only competitive game I play is Apex Legends, and I'm getting really good at it. I'm working on my KD ratio because I hated that my KD was low and now it's high.
Nice.
Nice.
You're not a Fall Guys kind of guy?
That hate.
I played Fall Guys when I came out. That was comedy content, man. That shit was fun. I love gaming is such a beautiful medium, so I play it all.
All right. Well, thank you for everyone for tuning into the Habibi House podcast. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share.
Smash.
Thank you, NEMR.
Smash that like
Smash,
button.
smash, smash.
All right.
Amazing. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. That was fun.
Habibi House.